O'Brien, Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien, Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
Yes, Jeremy Coney and Stephen Fleming are the only two New Zealand captains to win series in England. Can Kane Williamson become the third? England find themselves in the rare position of being the hors d'oeuvre for the main event. But there are some important questions for them to answer as they look ahead to taking on the other team in the World Test Championship final over 5 tests later in the summer. Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket, the home of fearless cricket commentary. I'm Gorilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and all being well, I will be your host throughout 7 tests and a plethora of white ball excitement over the next 3.5 months. Joining me first thing this morning all the way from glamorous Singapore, it's Anindo Dutta.
Good morning, Hendo. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the listeners. Very, very happy to be here for the first morning of the first international of the summer.
Absolutely, and less glamorously, all the way across the big smoke in Epping Forest. And perhaps as we speak, he's looking up and listening to a little bit of bird song. It's none other than Nestle boy, Tracy.
Morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening.
Morning.
It's a wonderful day out there for Test cricket.
Well, it absolutely is, and Captain Tom's family have rung the 5-minute bell, so we're almost underway into... I've just been waiting for this since the IPL died a death, although it will of course be resuscitated in September, and there's been no cricket to commentate on. It's been a hard, long month. Now, toss and teams, those are always important things to get into the equation, and the news is that on a beautiful sunny day, look up rather than down, they say at Lord's, and if you look up you will see blue sky, a little smattering of high white cloud, but New Zealand looked up having won the toss and chose to bat, and they didn't bring the changes, but there is no Trent Boult, of course. There is, however, a debutant who is now going to have to go out onto the pitch and face the first ball of an English international summer. That man is Devon Conway. He will be joined up top by Tom Latham, Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor, Henry Nicholls, BJ Watling. You can read a wonderful article that Jim Birchall's done about BJ Watling on our website. Colin de Grandhomme, who's got crazy hair. Mitchell Santner, Kyle Jamieson, so looking forward to seeing him bowl in England. Tim Southey and Neil Wagner. England give new caps to James Bracey, who also keeps wicket. And Ollie Robinson is the man who gets the nod amongst the number of tall, heavy, quick bowlers. So the England lineup is as follows: Dominic Sibley, Rory Burns, Zach Crawley, Joe Root, Ollie Pope, Dan Lawrence, James Bracey, Ollie Robinson, Stuart Broad, Mark Wood. It might surprise one or two people, although they do want to have a little bit of raw pace, and Jimmy Anderson. Jimmy Anderson playing a record equaling 161st game for England today, and we're about to have, I think we may be having it now, we're having the either the anthems, but there is going to be a moment of unity, although we don't quite know what people are going to do in this moment of unity. Maybe they're having it now and they're just all standing very silently looking at the pavilion with their hands behind their backs. Now chaps, topics for discussion. Experimental team for England, is that in some way disrespectful to New Zealand and Indo?
No, I don't think it can be disrespectful to New Zealand, because New Zealand's in the final of the World Test Championship, which proves they're one of the two best teams in the world, at least over the last couple of years. I think it's a good move, because
hang on. Where are my headphones? I put them on.
Hello, what was that? What happened there? We had someone asking for their headphones. You and Indo.
Yeah, that's no problem. It's going to be a very long summer, right? So I think the experimentation needs to be done in the beginning, and I would imagine that by the time the late summer comes around and India and England play each other, that's a revenge time. So
yes.
This is probably the best time to experiment.
I would have thought so. I'd go along that. Nestle boy, is it too early to talk about the Ashes?
Yeah.
It obviously is, because he's not speaking.
No, I said yes.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear your reply. It's far too early.
For Pete's sake, we've got a whole summer of cricket.
We've got 3.5 months. The batsmen are on their way to the middle. It's about to start. It couldn't be better. There are, we think, 7,000 people approximately in the ground, and of course there's Lords that is undergoing some transformation. The Compton and Edridge stands. That's just to get a little bit more corporate hospitality in, mainly it would seem, on the middle tier. There'll be no one on the middle tier, I don't think there's anyone in the Compton and Edridge stands, to be honest, but we shall see.
Just breaking news though, just very quickly, PJ Mead is in the tavern stand.
Way!
And he sent a picture.
Excellent stuff. Well, I haven't got Twitter up, but hopefully you have, Nestle boy, and so you will be saying hello to everybody as the morning progresses, and
everyone on Twitter,
everyone in the entirety of Twitter will be with us today, I think, and so you're going to have to be really on your metal, Nestlers. Okay. Anyway, they're going to wait with two left-handers, it would appear, as Devon Conway, the man making his debut, and Tom Latham, both left-handers. Shall we do some early jingling?
He opens up a thing, or sometimes keeps wicket. He doesn't bowl great, but I still don't wanna face him. Tom Latham.
Have we got Devon Conway? Well, it's very exciting. It's just measuring his run-up is Jimmy Anderson, the man with 614 Test wickets. And as I said earlier, he's playing his 161st Test match for England today, which is equaling Alistair Cook. And, if he doesn't get injured, he's going to go past that, isn't he? He's going to go well past that. So we shall wait and see. Let's have a look at this field. Oh, my goodness. When the camera pans back and you see the pavilion in all its glory, I don't know, it makes you want to almost weep with excitement. We are going to have 3 slips and a gully. Of course, James Bracey is the man behind the stumps. He's only played 16 first-class games as a wicketkeeper, so he's pretty inexperienced. He's been warned about the difficulties of Lords with the slope. He's been given lots and lots of tips, so let's see how he gets on. Jimmy Anderson's going to open the bowling. Got a jingle. It goes like this.
Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja.
And he is going to bowl the first ball of the English summer to Tom Latham from the nursery end. Is in. trying to get it to move down the slope. It's outside the off stump, slightly back of a length, and it's allowed through to James Bracey, so he gets an early touch, a bit like the goalkeeper in a game of football gets an early touch. And New Zealand are none for none. Who's with us, Nestlers?
I'm going to start on YouTube because it's quite an astonishing message from Tony Martinez or Martinez. Is really happy that he's found us.
Yes.
But he said to me, "Are you the former fast bowler I used to watch back in the 80s, Sean?"
Fast bowler, Nestle boy. I think it's unlikely.
In New Zealand. Maybe there was a Sean Tracy in New Zealand.
There might have been, or better ball from Anderson. This one's probing around the off stump, a very good length indeed, and Latham, bat and pad close together, defends it straight back down the pitch to Jimmy, and there is no run. Nestle boy bowling as a fast bowler, I think it's unlikely, although I'd like to see it.
Well, back in the 80s,
Were you a bit slippery, were you?
Well, no, I was fit as the butcher's dog then, though, wasn't I? With all the tennis and everything.
Oh, well, yes, I suppose so, yes.
But I wasn't a fast bowler.
No.
I had a fast first serve.
Anderson in again to Latham. Oh, this one he's sprayed wide outside the off stump, and Bracey shows his athleticism by leaping across in front of first slip, more or less, to gather that. And again, there is no run. He's wearing the England cap that he was given, I don't know, about half an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, presented with it. Just a little bit of movement off the seam there, actually, for Anderson, but it was far too wide to start with. And Latham...
Bracey actually looks younger than Sam Curran.
Bracey looks younger than Sam Curran. Who is the youngest looking England player? Here comes Anderson in again, looking again to move it away from the left-hander, I think this time. Better ball, closer to the offside stump, but once more left alone by Latham, who now wanders down to take his first look at this pitch seriously, and wonders what it might do in the next hour or so. Nestlers?
Just continuing on YouTube for a minute. A lot of people. Matthew Cullen's with us. Good morning, lads. Looking forward to some Test cricket this summer. Come on, Jimmy, he says. Dandy Castro, of course, is with us. So it's all getting fired up on YouTube.
People do get excited in the first few balls of a Test summer. Anderson into Latham. Has he got him there on the pad? A big appeal. Might have pitched outside leg.
Umpire,
it doesn't look too interested. That looks like it's Richard Kettleborough. So we got... have we got English umpires in this game? That's something I didn't check. I guess it's the easiest thing to have, isn't it, in these COVID affected times. But a good ball from Anderson, nonetheless. Might have been closer than we think, actually. I'd quite like to have another look at that with the tracking, the ball tracking. I'm not quite sure what he's given that not out for. It is pitching outside leg.
No,
that's a brilliant decision. Brilliant decision. It would have hit middle stump 2/3 of the way up. Anderson in again to Latham onto the back foot. He's going to get a run in, the first run of the English summer. Just pushed into the offside, runs through for a reasonably comfortable single. And that is the end, is it, of the first over. New Zealand 1 for none. Devon Conway's first ball will be delayed as Stuart Broad scratches out where he's going to land. What do we make of the first over, and Indo?
Well, I mean, along expected lines, but that was very, very close. The one outside the leg stump, an extremely good decision.
Yes.
The first ball really moved a lot.
Yes.
The others had limited movement. I had a question for you. Was Ben Foakes available for this test?
He fell over. He slipped in the dressing room and did his hamstring.
On a sock.
On a sock. Well, just as you thought, hang on, he's going to get his first test in England, possibly his last test in England. He's going to get no tests in England, I'm afraid to say, because he's injured himself and he's out of the series. Extraordinary.
Was it a rogue sock?
I suspect it was placed there by James Bracey. I know he's been talking about how great Ben Foakes has been to him and giving him all sorts of advice, but I suspect that he's responsible for that. Anyway, it's going to be Stuart Broad who's going to bowl, and this is his jingle.
What would make Broad walk? If his stumps were knocked down. What would make Broad walk? Caught 5 feet off the ground. What would make Broad walk? If he trod on his stumps. What would make Broad walk? If God was one of the arms. What would make Broad walk? Broad walk. What? Broad!
And he's got himself 4 slips, allowing for the slope coming in from the pavilion end. The ball will be naturally moving away from Tom Latham. It's in, full, and met with the full face of the bat, just shovelled back to Broad, and there is no run. And I've just noticed, or it's been pointed out to me, that the Broad band is no longer. Broad has dispensed with his headband, and he's back to being the old Stuart Broad that we knew and loved. He has no band anymore. Kettleborough and Michael Goff, two fantastic umpires, are in charge, with Richard Illingworth, the third umpire. That's the detail I can bring to you as Latham faces up again. Broad is in, bowls, and it's right on the stumps. A very good length, and Latham, the technically correct batsman, defends it straight back to the bowler, and there is no run. As
Conway as a debutant must feel quite happy that he's been able to watch from the other end his first few balls in Test cricket.
I suppose so, yes, although I know as a batsman you like to feel the bat on ball, don't you, before you feel really confident. I think that would be my guess, but it's a fair point. He's getting a chance to see or take in the atmosphere and the sort of immensity of the occasion. Broad in again, fuller ball, defended to quite a shortish mid-off, and there is no run. The GPL is open, the Gorilla Prediction League. All you have to do to win money is estimate by lunch how many runs you think we scored in the day. If you get it on the nose, you get the money. There's £39 in the pot. Go to gorillacricket.com/competitions. It can be great fun towards the end of the day as we hear people wailing and gnashing and wondering if the final delivery is going to give them the run they need to pocket all the loot. Broad races in again from the pavilion end, bowls to Latham. Latham defends again. Good probing delivery, not any sign of movement at the moment. It's defended to mid-off, and there is no run. I
keep thinking, sorry, of Conway, that I think it's great that he's getting to actually see it, because remember his one days have been what, all of them against Bangladesh, right?
That's right. He got 100, didn't he, against them?
Yeah, and he's playing England at Lords in his debut Test match. I'd honestly much rather be at the non-strikers end for a while.
Probably good point. Full on leg stump and whipped away. He's got great wrists, as Tom Latham. He's going to get one. He might get two. He will. It's Mark Wood throwing on the run, throwing quite well on the run. And they get back for a second. New Zealand move to 3 for no wicket. All those runs so far to Tom Latham, as Anindo has pointed out. Conway is at the opposite end. He's got an interesting background, hasn't he, Conway? And this is something we possibly should discuss. England get criticised for nabbing players from other nations, or potentially from other nations. I think there are 4 Southern African born players in the New Zealand squad. Broad in again, better ball outside the stump, but neatly pushed into the offside, and it will bring him another single, and Conway will sit out another over on his debut, as Latham is proving adept at taking singles from the final ball. 2 overs bowled, New Zealand 4 for no wicket. Nestlers.
Messi Jez, Leia, PJ Mead, Oxymoronica, Farong, Nick Martin. Who else have we got here? Mark Green, worrying about no spinner. Of course, Kiwi Callie is with us. Hello, Kiwi Callie. Might get to play her jingle. I love that jingle. James Humberson's with us. Andrew Veer, Chris the Choir, Warren. Jay Grover's with us. Mr. Tweet himself, Sean Barry. I mean, it's a cast of thousands here. John Thompson, the light roller, Jane with a Y, Alex Green, Dave Sarah, Neil Franklin. I mean, it just Hombre Nuevo.
It's basically, you know what it is, Nestle? It's basically guerrilla royalty.
Anderson
in from the nursery end, bowls to Latham. It's a full ball outside stump. He drives. It's half stopped at backward point by Rory Burns. He pushes it towards extra cover, and they're going to get back for 2 more. They did well to get 2 there. He might have gone for 4 initially, but it's a good piece of fielding. I think it was Dan Lawrence actually, rather than Rory Burns.
Tony Martinez has come in with some insider knowledge on Conway. He says he's a sensational player. Lots of time, plays cricket shots, can score quickly without having to take risks or play unorthodox.
But
Tony's in New Zealand, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been talking him up. That's for sure. But his background is quite curious. Anderson in again, full tempting delivery outside the off stump, which Latham wisely lets pass through to the keeper. More Nestlers.
What's his background? That's curious. Was he an international hitman at one point? or
He was
something?
actually, yes, absolutely, yes.
No,
he
but
was
he's no spring chicken. He's 29, I think.
no 26. Yeah, no, you're right. He's 29. 29, and he was in the second tier of South African domestic cricket before deciding to move to New Zealand, where it's all come good for him. Anderson in again. He brings that back into Latham. Latham is equal to it. He defends on the front foot, but already Anderson is showing that he can get that ball to nibble both ways. That was a good one.
Got a technical issue from James Moosh. Says the audio feed on the website isn't working properly, very spotty. YouTube working fine though. So maybe the bear or Knackle can twiddle a knob.
Yeah, well, we have two men. We have two great technical
Two knob twiddlers.
geniuses. Two knob twiddlers. Full on leg stump. But Latham is in fine form here. He clips it away. Broady though. Broady diving to his left and prevents the run on this occasion, doing a favour for his old mucker. And New Zealand remain 6 for no wickets.
Although it might have fixed itself because there's a message saying from Viv Bartlett says, "Okay, fine now."
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, you know, there are many ways, many and varied ways to listen to Guerrilla Cricket, and the website is just one of them. We've got TuneIn, you've got Facebook, you've got YouTube, and probably others that I've never heard of. I'm a man who's just discovered how to do a PDF, so there could be any number of platforms out there I don't know about. 3 slips in the gully, Anderson in again. Oh, lovely ball, goes across him this time, finds thick outside edge, it's sprung away down to third man. Rory Burns is racing after it, flicks it back, and well fielded, brilliant throw over the top of the stumps more or less, and Latham settles for 2, 8 for no wicket.
Vincent Ruiz is at 3 a.m. in California and he's listening to us.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
We should have special badges made for you, for people who get up in the middle of the night to listen to us.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. There's another merchandise idea. Badges saying I am a. I don't know. What would they say? What would they say on it? If I am a gorilla night owl, something like that. We have.
I rise with the gorillas.
I rise with the gorillas outside the off stump. I'll give Latham the benefit of the doubt that maybe he just brought the bat inside the line of that one, but if not, it was an exceptional delivery from Anderson. It ends his second over, and after 3 overs of the English summer, I'm going to count down the English summer because every year at the start of the English summer, I think, all this cricket lies ahead of us. It's going to be glorious, and then before you know it, it's the last day. It's the last day, and
not wishing your life away.
Sorry.
On Twitter, Naomi Osaka is right. Mental health comes first. Says Samson has cut his hair, as it were.
Oh, has he? What? Colin de Grandon?
Must have done.
Oh, okay.
Ruth is with us. Ravi Nair, of course. Yes. No Johnny Bairstow denies any involvement as just Josh Butler. Martin Lawrence has joined us, if I'm right in reading this right. According to ESPN Cricket Info, Conway has a first-class average of 47.21 from 108 games.
Yeah, and he's got a triple hundred. Yeah. 3 overs after we played his jingle, Devon Conway is going to face his first ball in Test cricket. It's going to be Stuart Broad that delivers it. It's outside the off stump, and I don't know that he got himself into a slightly awkward position there. In the end, he leaves it, but I felt as if he was just falling across his stumps a little bit there. Anyway, nods to Tom Latham at the other end to say, "Well done, you survived your first ball in Test cricket." And he settles down for another one. He's only just become. I think he's still waiting for his New Zealand residency, isn't he? It was applied for, apparently. He's been eligible to play for New Zealand since August, but he hasn't actually got the residency. May not be allowed back. Broad in bowls. He's going to get his first run. No, he flicks it away behind square, but there is a man there, and there is no run. He may be stateless.
No,
I've never understood this about sports people. That how can you play for a country without being a citizen of that country? That's just baffles me because from an Indian perspective, that would never happen.
Yeah, but this thing is, India's got so many brilliant players. They don't need to.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. Is Owen Morgan a citizen of England?
Sorry?
Is Owen Morgan a citizen of England?
Well, I imagine he's got a British passport, has he?
Why? He's from Dublin.
Yeah, it's a fair point. 4 slips waiting for a catch. Broad is in, bowls again outside the off stump. A little bit of nibble away with the slope, and Conway leaves it alone again.
But does England require a citizenship?
Nah.
Well, he's got residency, but he's not got citizenship
Yeah.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got a contract with Wellington, so it's a strange one, isn't it?
I mean, you had Zola Budd for 3 days before she ran, right?
Solar Bud, yeah, but I mean, anyone would like someone who runs with no shoes on. Anyone would have been prepared to accept that. In comes Broad again, bowls to Conway. Conway finds the middle of the bat for the first time, strikes it back to Broad, who stoops on his follow throw to pick up, follow through rather than follow throw, and the score remains 8 for no wicket. It's interesting, isn't it? Actually, talk about Zola Budd running in bare feet, and yet there's been controversy this week about British athletes and their sponsors because of these newfangled Nike and Adidas running shoes, which apparently help you complete world records. So actually, it's now down to the footwear. It's like from Formula One: who's got the best car? Athletics: who's got the best shoes? Anderson's got the best ball, as Broad has in his hand at the moment. He bowls to Conway, and Conway gets a thick inside edge. He's going to get his first run in Test cricket. He's going to get 2, I think, down to Wood at long leg. I can understand why Broad has his hands on his head, because it's just a little bit of a gap between bat and pad as he played that, and I thought for a moment that it might have got through, but it's a really thick inside edge, and it has brought him his opening runs in Test cricket.
And it was nowhere near the stumps.
No, that's true. Anyway, so he has 2. New Zealand move into double figures. Now, of course, we haven't got the sound turned up, so I'm hoping that Lord's crowd is making an absolute nuisance of themselves and being very, very, very noisy, but I can't tell. Broad comes in again, bowls to Conway down the leg side, and that's going to be, I think probably buys, and 4 of them. James Bracey can't dive that far, and it's gone all the way down to the nursery ground boundary for one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Went through to the keeper.
Go on. Oh,
Hello. There sounds like the sound of microphones being dropped everywhere around the world.
is that not Fred?
It could be not Fred arriving. Yes.
Matthew Cullen says he's a midnight gorilla.
Hey.
Daniel Keevy says it's a more decent 5 a.m. in Winnipeg, home, of course, to the great Neil Young. The light roller is honoured to be classed as one of the gorilla royalty. Sound is working fine for me. No knob twiddling in public, please. Felix Stock has joined us. And he's disappeared off my screen for a second. Hi team, great to be back with you and Test cricket. Lovely. Much love from Germany. James Humberston, he's a midnight gorilla. Warren, middle of the night for him.
Anderson bowls first ball of a new over just outside the off stump, good length. Latham leaves it alone.
Ravi says, why badges? Why not round stickers that you can stick on badges or bags or fridges or posters or... And he carries on.
Funny you should say that,
Car
Ravi.
stickers. Car stickers.
Yeah, well,
Bumper stickers.
you can get these on our website. Go to the merchandise store on our website. We've now even made it easier for you. Not only is there a t-shirt that you can click on, there's a title at the top which says merch. Merch. Go and search the merch. Anderson in again. Bowls to Latham again. Once more across him, and he leaves this outside the off stump. Goes down the pitch to have a little bit of a prod. And there is no run. We've got all sorts of colourful blazers and caps on various unshapely bodies at Lord's today, especially in the members section.
Am I alone in hating that thing?
What, the stripiness?
That colour combination and the whole bollocks that goes with it.
I think what goes with it, I agree with you to a certain
It looks
extent.
awful, though. Sorry.
It looks eccentric. It's British, isn't it? On the line of off stump, just maybe fading across Latham a little bit, but he meets that perfectly well onto the front foot, and there is no run. The camera keeps alighting on Ollie Robinson. The talk will be, when's he going to get a go? A man who's got 29 first-class wickets already this season, and his first-class career has brought him 279 at an average of 21. He's got 10 wickets in a match 5 times, and he's already taken a 9-4 this summer. Anyway, here comes Anderson again. Bowls, and right at the last minute, a little bit more bounce there from Anderson, and Latham whips his bat out of the way. And through it goes to Bracey once more. Let me tell you about the GPL. I was beginning to tell you about it. There's £39 in it to start with. You need to go to our website, gorillacricket.com. That's 1 R and 2 L's. You will then find competitions festooned across the top of the website. Go to that, register if you haven't already done so, and for every guess you have, you can have as many as you want. You put £1 into the pot. Anderson in again, full, a little bit of swing, but neatly whipped through mid-on. Latham will come back for a comfortable 2 as the long legs of Stuart Broad stride after that, and Latham is into double figures. New Zealand, comfortable start so far on they're winning the toss and choosing to bat 16 for no wicket.
Tono Sharma's joined us from Nepal.
Brilliant.
Oh, excellent.
And supporting England. Daniel Keevy says he doesn't have a car, but he'll have to put the sticker on a wheelbarrow. Well,
wheelbarrow stickers, of course.
That works. That works.
That's perfect. Go to the merchandise stall and buy it. We get very excited when people buy things. Onto the front foot comes Latham. He's momentarily confused as he's not quite sure where the ball went. It took a thick inside edge and ran behind him towards square leg. That is the end of the over. Anderson's conceded 7 from his first 3. New Zealand are 16 for no wickets.
JW says it's 10 p.m. in Wangari, New Zealand. I hope I've said that right. And Chantal Bryan is saying thanks for the stream, and she's from Auckland. Then Andy Push Poafi says wow, and Brish Shah is with us. Dinah Patterson says a gorilla night owl sounds like a medieval monster appearing in a manuscript border. It's not on, only 4:16 a.m. here. Phil Withall reckons there's intermittent audio. I hope that's been looked at by our technical team.
Nakul says it's okay now.
Jay Grover says, I listen to Gorilla Cricket all night because I'm an insomniac alcoholic who abuses narcotics. Would that fit on a badge?
Be a big badge. We've got a man now who's coming as a sort of leg gully, a short square leg almost, as Broad is into Conway, and Conway is forward to this one and meets it nicely, defends it back to the bowler, and there is no run. I'm just wondering.
Conway has an interesting stance. Sorry,
go ahead.
It's almost like he's threatening the bowler with his bat as he prepares to take strike. Very, very interesting. If you notice it the next time. He's sort of, getting his bat ready to really have a go, and then he defends. It's a bit of an anti-climax.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that. I thought there is something a little bit odd about it. Maybe a little bit crouched in his stance. I thought, as we're seeing,
there's a lot of movement, I think.
Yeah, here he comes, drives, and he opens the face really nicely, actually,
Nice.
there as he makes contact. And the diving figure of a man at extra cover is not going to prevent that, and it's going to tickle its way, or trickle even, its way to the boundary.
Cool.
For 4 runs, his first 4 in Test cricket. Way!
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Oh yeah,
He's got a pretty decent backlift. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's an absolutely beautiful use of the face of the bat. The way he's opened that at the last minute to ensure that it went wide or to the right hand side of Anderson, I think it was, at extra cover. So beautiful use of the wrists there, and Latham was acknowledging that as he goes up to pump fists. And New Zealand
It'll do his confidence a world of good.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But that was a confident shot. That was confident use of the bat face. He waits for Broad again, and he's in from the pavilion end around the wicket, and he meets this one nicely as well, and that's just pure timing, and that's racing away from Anderson down the hill. He's going to catch up with it just inside the boundary, but they will get back for a couple. That was just pure timing. And suddenly I'm quite excited about this guy. 8, he's gone on to 8 now, and New Zealand are 22 for no wicket. And Indo, what beautiful timing there.
Oh, it's lovely. I mean, anyway, it's a delight watching left-handers bat, but he appears to be a very elegant batsman. So,
that was just beautiful. Didn't try to hit it, just almost a forward defensive, but with excellent timing, finding the middle of the bat. And so he moves on to 8. And it's already looking like a hard day's yakka for England as Broad is in again. Bowles, oh no, that's a beauty. He got that to really nibble, and Broad gives him the stare and says that was too good for thee. He gets applause from Joe Root. Lovely delivery. I mean, it's got the slope, but that's actually genuine seam movement. That's gone like an off.
and I think it's the first time this morning actually that Broad's got the
Yep.
movement.
No, absolutely right. But that's cheered up Joe Root. See a bit of movement and a good response after those 2 strokes from Conway. And Broad already glistening on his arms with sweat as he tears in once more past the umpire. Bowls to Conway. Conway meets that nicely, plays it straight up towards mid-on, and there is no run.
I think one day Broad
over.
will appeal before he delivers the ball.
Broad appeals. Yes.
Sunday,
Broad,
before he delivers the ball.
yeah, Broad is kind of that bowler, isn't he? He's basically appealing as probably when he gets to the end of his run-up. But this is an interesting competition at the moment. If Broad can get the ball to do that, like he did a couple of deliveries ago, a couple more times with 2 left-handers out there, it's interesting. Here comes Broad again. Bowls onto the back foot this time. He's going to get a single as he eases that into the offside, brings the man from backward point round in front of square, and the score moves on to 23 for no wicket. And now Conway has realised that taking the single off the last ball is the way to go. More tweets.
Ant-Man 1805 says, evening all, listening while shopping for a long weekend in Kangaroo Valley. Nice to hear your dulcet tones again. Carry on, gents. Leia says, I like to think of the sock on which folk slipped as a cunning plan from Bairstow that horribly backfired on him. Peter Lloyd points out that Morgan's mother is English and he's held a British passport since birth. PJ Mead said, the Lord's crowd is about as loud as your background, but without the way, and PJ Mead is there, don't forget.
Of course, in the tavern.
Muttley's with us.
Woof!
Sausages.
Yes, of course.
Martin Jones has joined us. Oh, it's firing through on Twitter. Who's next up on tweets?
It's going to be Forthy all the way from Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
He's going to be making his tweets debut, so he's going to be in a complete muddle. So go easy on him because it's his first time,
Slow
and he's
down,
doing it remotely. And remotely well, one hopes.
Just on the merchandising, sorry, Jag Grover says, I still have no clue what to do with the shower curtain I bought. It's bigger than my flat.
Anderson bowls a full delivery. Conway strokes that beautifully blast mid-off, who dives in vain, and that ball will find its way to the boundary. I'm suddenly very excited about this man. He's gone on to 13, and New Zealand are now 27 for no wicket.
He looks at the deal.
Yeah, he doesn't try to overhit, does he? He really doesn't. It's
beautiful
timing. Yeah, it really is. Now Anderson is unhappy.
I hate to remind you of 1996, but this is where another left-hander, Saurav Ganguly, made his debut against England.
Oh no!
Oh
no! Well, we need to get Ollie Robinson on and to sort of put up some chin music, don't we? Really, that's the way to deal with these good drivers off the front foot. Anderson comes in again, bowls to Conway. It's full, and he gets a thick inside edge this time. Not a lot of foot movement. That might be a little bit of a weakness. We've seen that a couple of times now. It goes behind square leg, and they do nonetheless run through for the single, but a minor achievement for Anderson. Yes, I think he's going to have to look at that. There is a big gap between bat and pad.
Yeah. That gap is they're likely to exploit that.
He may be susceptible to the ball coming back into him.
And Jasprit Bumrah is looking at that for sure, I can assure you.
Ah, yes, of course. We've still got the World Test Championship to come. The first ever World Test Championship will be there. Well, we'll be here. We'll be somewhere. We'll be commentating on it. 18th to the 22nd of June from the Ageas Bowl in Southampton. Of course, the second test of this series is up at Edgbaston. When we think that if the roadmap is going okay, the COVID roadmap, we'll have 17,000 people in the ground. Anderson now switches to round the wicket. It's a little bit of movement away off the pitch, if anything, I think. Latham plays it late and plays it well to Pope in the gully, and there is no run. Conway has moved on to 14 now. Latham is on 10, and New Zealand are 28 without loss. Don't forget the GPL. You've got until lunch to get involved. GorillaCricket.com/competitions. Estimate how many runs you think will be scored in the not in the session, in the day. Pay us £1, and if you get it on the nose, you get the money. In comes Anderson again, bowls to Latham. Latham defends this with the angle of the ball up to mid-on, and there is no run. It's time for a change at the end of this over. The man known as the mighty Not Fred Titmus will be joined on Twitter and all things social by Forthy, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, and all the way from the studio in Sydenham. He'll be playing jingles, and he'll also be summarising Knackle for the first time this summer. Onto the back foot goes Latham, hurries through with the single and gets there comfortably. If anyone was in danger, it might have been Conway. So the throw comes into the striker's end, and New Zealand move on to 29 for no wicket. And
Should be happy with the first half an hour.
Oh, you've got to be, haven't you, if you're a New Zealand fan? Yeah. We've had 4 overs from Anderson, or we will have had after this ball. 3 from Broad, so we've had 7 in all. So they're going along at a nice rate of 4 and over, which is always pretty good in Test cricket. And still that beautiful blue sky, very little breeze, I think, as well. As Anderson is into Conway. Conway's onto the front foot. He's switched back to over the wicket, but Conway defends it to extra cover. There is no run. It's the end of the over. It's the end of my first spell of the 2021 English summer, and the next voices you will hear will be that of Not Fred Titmus, Knuckle Pandy, and Forthy.
Well, thank you, Hendo, for that wonderful 40-minute introduction and first half an hour spell. And hello, good morning to Knackle.
Good morning, Fred. Delightful to have Test cricket back. Sun fans, you can't really ask for very much more, can we?
And good morning for, I think, the first time to Forthy, all the way from the Antipodes.
Oh, hello. Yes, I had one day during the India Test. But it's my first time on the socials.
Right. Well, you may have a baptism of fire because according to listeners, the tweets have been coming in thick and fast, so we'll give you a couple of moments to gather yourself, and we'll probably have some tweets at the end of the over, or unless there's a break in the middle of it. So New Zealand, having won the toss this morning, looked like a good toss to win. It's bright and sunny in London and at Lord's, and they've got off to a good start. 29 for no wicket, with Latham on 11 and the debutant Conway. Devon Conway. There's been a few Test cricketers called Devon. Devon Malcolm, Devon Smith. The others, can't think off the top of my head. As Broad comes in right arm round the wicket to Latham, who just prods us into the offside. It's a dot ball. Any more Devons, Knackle?
No, I think that about covers it. So we're 8 short of an 11. Of course, there was a headline writer's dream when he was announced that he was going to be playing in the T20 Blast in a couple of championship games. Somerset signed Devon.
Well, we do have, of course, a Cornwall playing Test cricket at the moment, as well as a Devon. I'm not sure how many other English counties of the southwest or anywhere else we can get. The crowd at Lord's, I think they are supposed to be socially distant, but those people seem to be quite close together. As Broad in again, bowls for Latham, who drives up to mid-off. The mid-off region is sort of tenanted by Anderson. He comes around from more of an extra cover position to field. No run.
I have a feeling that Martin Kent played for Australia.
Oh, he did, yes, in the 1980, I think 85 tour of England.
Yes, that's correct, I think.
Or
Yeah.
the 81 tour.
Not a vintage period for Australia, the early to mid 80s.
No. I think it was Whitney in 81 and Kent in 85 from distant memory.
And of course, Durham Sala is a test ground, but we're not as a county. Broad in again to Latham, shorter ball, goes on the back foot, defends into the leg side, no run.
The legendary early Australian captain Warwickshire Armstrong.
I dare say the Earl of Sussex or the Duke of Surrey would have played at some pre-Test match time.
There's the Duke of Norfolk's 11.
Of course, yes.
Australia have had a few Kents over the years. Let's lower the tone as early as possible.
Straight away.
Looks like a good toss to win at the moment.
Yes.
But, let's wait and see. It's Broad in again. And again a little bit shorter. Latham goes onto the back foot, defends up to mid-off, no run.
Yeah, if you've been watching Middlesex this year in the streams from Lords, this is a very different type of game, it seems. People have been trying to work out over the last couple of days whether the fact that Lords has the lowest average of any ground in the country this season is due to conditions or Middlesex's batting.
Well, Middlesex's opponents haven't scored all that many more runs, so it may have something to do with the Lord's pitches and the weather as Broad comes in again and bowls, and they beat Latham, who prods at it outside the off stump. It goes away from him, and Bracey takes it low down to his left hand side. It's a mini smile from the captain, or is it a grimace? I'm never quite sure. But that moved. Did it move? It seemed to move off the pitch and then swung a little bit in the air after it pitched, which happens sometimes at Lord's.
Dipped a little bit as well. James Bracey, as a new test keeper at Lord's, does have the advantage that he kept here not that long ago for Gloucestershire.
He's a relatively new keeper in all forms of cricket, because he hasn't been full-time keeper for that long. But he bats, and that's what matters to the selectors. And this one's a little bit straighter, so much so that Latham can turn it into the leg side, but straight to backwards, short back the square leg. It's another dot ball, a maiden, and frothy, as I thought it said on my rotor. Let's hear some tweets.
I've been called many things. Okay, some tweets. Martin Jones. Is Rory Burns the first England men's player with a ponytail since Derek Pringle? To which the reply from our own sales game, does Ian Botham's rat tail count? Dr. Leonie Hicks, up to my eyeballs in external examining, so can't follow, but good to know you're out in the ether somewhere. To which the reply came from our good selves. You mean you can't listen and invigilate simultaneously?
You don't need you don't need to read our tweets.
Okay, won't do then. I think how many countries? 198 so far. I think they need a good listener from Antarctica. From Ravi Nair.
There was a cricket listener to one of the BBC County streams I remember from Antarctica a couple of years ago. He was monitoring penguins. As Anderson is over the wicket again to Conway, it's well wide of off stump. He doesn't have to play. Of course, it may have been an elaborate hoax.
Yeah, we're waiting for the day one of our many scientist listeners gets a research posting out there.
Yeah, let's see if we can just cover all the countries and pseudo-countries on the green list, like the Sandwich Islands and Tristan da Cunha. If we get somebody from Tristan da Cunha, I'll be very impressed.
Well, as they say on Point, it's not a sovereign state recognised by the United Nations, but we take the point.
As Anderson's in again, and this, well, I thought Conway was perhaps trying to leave that, or then played it very late to backward point. More or less in control. No run.
He's trying to play
Tristan da Cunha is on the non-quarantine list. That you don't have to quarantine from coming back from there, but considering it takes about 4 months to get there from there to England, I don't think the quarantine list matters all that much. Average swing this morning comes up a caption. Anderson 1.89 degrees and Broad 0.39 degrees. I can't live without that. As Anderson bowls again, and again Conway just with an angled bat just drops the bat on it outside the off stump. I'm not sure that's an ideal technique for an English morning, albeit this isn't a particularly typical English June morning, and that it's bright sunshine and actually quite warm.
Yeah.
Talking of quarantine, just quickly, word for everyone in Melbourne, we're in the middle of a 2-week lockdown once more. We thought we'd put that behind us, but no.
As Anderson's in again, this is outside the leg stump, and it's clipped, I think probably off pad actually, because it went quite slowly down to, bat and pad, as it went down to fine leg for a single.
Little hint of swing from Anderson, but too full. He's got the ball to move both ways thus far. I'm sure Broad is bowling a slightly less full length, trying to get the ball to seam more than to swing. Broad settling into his typical mode of attack to the left-handers, just trying to challenge at both edges of the bat, using the ball moving away down the slope from the pavilion end. Very, very good bowler, of course, round the wicket to left-handers.
Yeah, Broad sort of discovered his technique about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's worked very well for him since then. As Anderson now comes around the wicket to Latham. It's a shorter ball and rising from outside the off stump. Latham leaves.
Christ the Choir and Martin Lawrence have pointed us to the slightly more obvious John Hampshire.
Oh, yes, indeed. We should have got that. There's not that many counties.
Yes, we should, yes. And there's not too many West Midlands players, I think.
Anderson is in again to Latham, and outside the off stump, and Latham isn't tempted into playing a shot. 30 for no wicket. New Zealand having won the toss with Latham on 11, debutant Conway on 15, and that is the end of Anderson's 5th over. He has none for 14. Let's have some tweets.
Jay Grover, I've never seen Bracey keep. How does he look? So, Fred, if you want to have a quick thought about that, well, I just reel off a couple more. Oxymoronica, I'm already breaking out into England pessimistic doom and gloom. Didn't take long. And Imagine says, no judgment on 40 from Melbourne, but will the day ever come that Mog7734, also from Melbourne, will ever be on commentary doing tweets?
Well, and we're not licensed by Ofcom, but I think if we ever were, then getting Mog on might raise a few question marks.
Oh, yeah. By which time zone do you set the watershed? We'll change of bowling.
I think we'd have to impose a 24-hour watershed. We are going to see a change of bowling, and Ollie Robinson is going to come into the attack, and he's got a nice close-cropped blondish haircut and an excuse for a beard, and he will be bowling to debutant Conway. Robinson has 57 on his back. It'll be interesting to see what he does. One of the number of Ollie Robinsons playing first-class cricket in England. There seem to be every second county seems to have one.
Well, they played against each other, didn't they? The Sussex and Kent men. Confusingly, Ollie Robinson was born in Kent. Fantastic, probably the best bowler in English domestic cricket over the last few years. Bowling, replacing Broad at the pavilion end, and he has a jingle that goes like this.
So here's to you, Ollie Robinson. Dizzy love.
No prizes for guessing.
Bowls, and this is jabbed down into the offside by Conway to point to cover, no run.
No, I think Dustin Hoffman was 31 when he appeared in The Graduate as a 19-year-old.
Oh, this happens all the time. Stockard Channing was in her early 30s trying to play an 18-year-old in Greece.
And she looked even older than that, to be honest. It was a different era. They didn't have quite so many teen stars as we have today. Lucky them.
Brilliant.
Robinson turns again at the back of his mark and will be bowling right arm over the wicket to Conway, who again props forward and just drops this into the leg side. No run. We're looking at a sideways angle of Robinson, which suggests that he's getting close, in fact, over the line, and that is a no ball. So it's not a great start. England seem to have a new sponsor on their shirts. I thought Robinson had just turned up as a ringer and was wearing a different shirt with a different advertising.
No,
they all have cinch on across their breasts. Anyone know what cinch is? No.
Well, being from Australia, no is the short answer.
This is well wide outside the off stump, and Bracey has to go in front of first slip to take. Not particularly speedy either at 79.1 miles an hour.
No, average speed, Ollie Robinson. He sort of sits somewhere in between James Anderson and Chris Wokes in general over the last few years. So he's not fast. He's sort of mid 80s or so, but extremely accurate. Gets the ball to move both ways. Tall man gets a bit of extra bounce, and his figures, as you say, over the last few years have been outstanding. And he's impressed when he's been in the England bubbles as well.
Robinson in again. This is a better ball. It's closer to off stump, and Conway plays an elaborate leave. Maybe that ball got to him slightly quicker than he expected.
We do seem to wait a long time before these bowlers make their debuts, particularly for England these days. He's 27.
There's a lot of bowlers. We were talking about this earlier.
There's a lot of bowlers, true.
Chris Wokes and Sam Curran have been not quite first choice for a number of years. Jofra Archer, of course, who's injured. England are well stocked for seam bowlers.
Yes.
And yet their batsmen appear at 22 and 23.
As Robinson bowls again on leg stump, and this is turned very nicely square on the leg side. It's going to be a long chase for the square leg fielder back to the boundary. He does overhaul it and gets it back in, so 2 runs to Conway, 33 for no wicket.
Yes, okay. Let's have a quick look at the old tweets. Mima Boardman, summer is here. Lovely to hear you, but can ball-by-ball person speak up, please? Not sure if that's. Haven't heard anybody else worried about that.
Well, I will say for
Sophie Cox.
Well, I will say for you have an excellent microphone and thus are a little bit loud.
That will probably be the reason. Shall I back off a couple of inches? I might do that.
This next ball is, I don't think well, I think that's edged down to third man. Burns has to chase from backward point. Again, a slightly elaborate way of playing outside the off-stump, Conway, and I think he tried to leave that and got an edge.
Well, what I will say is he's playing it very late. He's trying to play the sort of Kane Williamson shot, the steer down to third man with soft hands, playing very late, but he didn't look as in control as his number 3 and captain does when he plays that stroke.
I did him a bit of a disservice. I think he did actually play it, and playing late is highly recommended as Robinson steams in from the pavilion end and bowls a straight ball on middle and off, which is defended up to mid-off by Conway. 35 for no wicket, and that's the end of the over. Let's have some more tweets. Wolfie?
Yes, TWM Strex has got a very nice photo they've attached, waving the Welsh flag. Not sure exactly why, but against a beautiful sky. Now then, don't judge the Lord's truck by the Middlesex batting. Last week they tried setting Leicestershire. Yes, Leicestershire a target and couldn't. PJ Mead. Sophie Cox, if you're collecting countries, I can add Malaysia to your list, as I'm sitting here in Kuala Lumpur, also in lockdown for your coverage, and glad for the start of the English cricket summer. I was just wondering, just to loop back for a second, what we thought about the English wicketkeeper, Bracey, so far. Any thoughts on him? How's he looking?
Well, Lords can play tricks on keepers because apart from the slope, it does do odd things with swing. So, from what I've seen him so far, he's looked pretty tidy. He's taken what he's had to take. But is he the best wicket-keeping option? I'm not sure that he is.
Well, the
he's
best
playing because he's a top 3 batsman, and that's why he's there, although he's batting at number 7.
And because Ben Folks is injured.
Broad, has he changed ends? Or,
He has, replacing Anderson.
He has, yes. He's coming in from the nursery end now, and he's going to be bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Latham. He's up, he bowls outside the off-stump. Latham leaves.
Let's give Broad a jingle in honour of his switching to t'other end.
What would make Broad walk? If his stumps were knocked down. What would make Broad walk? Caught 5 feet off the ground. What would make Broad walk? If he trod on his stumps. What would make Broad walk? If God was one of the arms. What would make Broad walk? Broad walk.
What? Broad! Slope now taking the ball back into the left-hander, so if he can get the ball to move away from the right-hander, it may just make that even more dangerous.
Broad in again, and this is a quicker ball which beats Latham outside the off-stump. And Broad looks a little bit rueful. He genuinely played a defensive shot, and it went past the outside edge. It didn't look like it moved over much. He just may have played down the wrong line. Let's have a look at it again.
So is that leg cutter that Broad bowls? He sort of ran his fingers across it, and it just kept on going. And it wasn't it was a sort of semi-leave / playing inside the line from Tom Latham. You didn't push at it.
If you're playing inside the line, you don't want to double that close to the outside edge. But yes, I think he probably did just play down the wrong line, which will be encouraging for Broad as he's in again on a lovely sunny day in London, and bowls a little bit straighter, and Latham leans into a defensive shot.
The pitch so far looks
no wicket.
There's been a little bit of movement, but the pitch looks fairly placid and fairly easy enough to bat on. Nice easy pace. Lords is not a Lords when the clouds are in and the ball is moving all over the place can be quite difficult, but the pitch itself has often been fairly true, and New Zealand will be very happy with the progress they've made thus far.
Yes, they have. They'll be pleased to have won it, I think. Although, obviously, I think the New Zealand quality bowling attack would have tested the England top order. Some discussions about the field now between Broad and his captain, and it looks like a cover fielder is coming into a short mid-wicket. So it looks like we've got a short mid-wicket and a deeper mid-wicket about 15 yards behind him. Are we looking at a leg stump attack, possibly?
I think we've got an answer to the Cinch sponsorship conundrum from Hugh Sheridan. I believe they sell used cars, and there's a painful advert on TV at the moment featuring Ryling.
Is that what English cricket has come to? Second-hand car salesman. As a straighter ball from Broad, in line with his new field, is played up to mid-on.
Well, I suppose on the mid-wicket is exactly that straighter line. It encourages Broad to bowl more at the stumps with the short mid-wicket in place. I don't think that the short mid-wicket is there for a catch per se. The ball isn't stopping in the wicket, certainly, but it maybe just encourages Broad to bowl at the stumps a little more, and then yes, as I was saying earlier, the fact that he's bowling at the stumps challenge makes any movement potentially more dangerous.
Well, yeah, but Broad seems to be the one who asked for the field change.
Well, he's encouraging himself to bowl straight.
Putting fielders there to encourage himself to do something. He could just do that without the encouragement, you would have thought, but obviously not. I think he is looking to have a catch taken there. I'm not quite sure how, as Broad comes in and bowls outside the off stump. A full ball, which is driven up to mid-off, no run, still 35 for no wicket. The runs are not flowing by any means for New Zealand. They've probably only scored 3 or 4 runs in the last, in as many, or probably in 4 or 5 overs. I don't know what it was when I came on.
No, they scored 5 in the last over of Ollie Robinson's first over. One of those a no ball, but it's Latham.
Yes.
Conway has been fairly fluent, scoring at just under 4 runs and over. Latham started very fluently and is now just settling in.
Broad in again, straighter ball defended back to him. I don't think just to clarify, I don't think slow over 8 is a problem. I just think that sometimes some batsmen do not like being cooped up and can possibly be playing shots they wouldn't otherwise do.
Tom Latham has not been one of those batters over the last few years. One illustrative stat: he's the first New Zealander to carry his bat in a Test match for nearly 50 years. He's I wouldn't say an old-fashioned opener. He's got more shots than that, but he's very happy to bobble along at about 3 runs and over.
Yep, and
good player.
So we're watching a montage of Broad getting left-handers out, perhaps more in hope than expectation. Particularly David Warner, who's was his bunny in 2019. And Broad seemed to get him out about once an over on average. As Robinson starts a new over, and this is on leg stump, turn to square leg. Sorry, we missed some tweets. Let's get through some.
Yes, just heading on to YouTube for a minute. Charlie Coulson's just says, so glad Gorilla's finally back. Finished my degree down here in Auckland today. Tony Martinez, Conway's is so good to watch. Textbook and elegant. And James Wheeler, Conway, gonna have a Mike Hussey-esque career. I think 6 to 7 excellent years to come.
He was a bit younger than bit younger than Hussey was, I think, when he was selected.
I think he was he's at least 30, I think, Hussey, wasn't he?
As Robinson bowls, and it's nudged towards cover by Conway.
Of course, part of the reason that Devon Conway has taken so long is that he moved to South Africa in I think 2017 or 2018 and only qualified for New Zealand in the middle of last year. So
he moved from South Africa. Yeah.
Moved from South Africa, yes. He's had some background in England. He played a whole season for Somerset Seconds in 2010. He played quite a bit of club cricket over here.
Right. Well, doubtless, if he has a successful summer in England, we'll get all the reminiscent articles from the clubs and.
It's already happened. It's already happened. There's a good one in the Cricketer about his time at Taunton Dean.
The fleshpots of the southwest. As Conway faces up to Robinson, who's coming round the wicket now, and that's a well-directed ball just outside off stump, defended by Conway. Bowler gets a clap from his captain,
wearing the gigantic ski goggle sunglasses that he's been wearing this year, Joe Root.
Well, it is very sunny, but I'm not sure they're going to do much good perched on his cap at keeping the sun off.
I remember playing a school match and a fielder dropped a catch off me, blamed the sun, and then I had to point out that he was wearing his sunglasses on his hat.
And it was cloudy. As Robinson comes in and bowls, and this is edged down towards third man. It went past third slip. It's going to get to the boundary. A fruitless chase from Burns. 4 runs.
Brian Barish says, good day and good morning, cricket nerds. Checking... we've probably got some music, haven't we?
No, go ahead. We're done.
Great to see Knackle taking time from his busy park cricket commentating schedule to do England Test match. Good luck to all and sundry on the call today.
Well,
I'm not sure what that...
you fit it in when you can. I was in the time between the IPL finishing and the county season started, I was bored and wandering around my local park and found a cricket match going on, so I decided to talk at it for a couple of minutes. Good.
Brian's checking in from Philadelphia there.
As an extra slip has come in, possibly too late, as a straighter ball on the middle and leg is turned through mid-wicket. It's chased by Broad and is that Anderson? But it's going to be 2 runs to Conway, who moves up to 25, 41 for no wicket now. And Robinson has not quite found his line and length as yet.
I kind of get the feeling that all of England's bowlers have been slightly searching for, not in a desperate way, but in a sort of exploratory way. You know, what's that process of fine-tuning exactly where they want to be bowling, exactly what the method is to Latham and Conway on this pitch.
Searching for movement that perhaps isn't there, as Robinson is in again, and that's a better ball, which Conway defends up to Broad at mid-on. That's the end of the over. Let's have some social media messages.
Yes, general feeling that this is a good New Zealand top order. Daniel Keevy, that's what makes this New Zealand order top order so dangerous. Super well balanced. Jeff Thomas, good afternoon, Gorillas, following from Bangkok, Thailand. Thanks for the live stream. And Steve Kellett here in Malaysia. We just went back into full lockdown. Michael Bedford's got a question I don't understand, unfortunately. Can you settle an argument? Does the bowler have to state which end he will bowl from before starting his run-up?
If he means which side of the umpire, then yes.
I think the end is fairly
probably what he means.
I think the end is fairly obvious.
Yeah.
You can't sort of suddenly bowl
yes.
from behind the wicketkeeper and try and do the batter behind him. So, but yes, you do have to state whether you're bowling round or over the wicket before each delivery.
There was a thing in baseball where some hitters are switch hitters. They can bat either left or right-handed, and there was a pitcher who could also do that a couple of years ago, and it could have been a sort of a standoff as they kept each changing and not wanting to give in to the other. As Broad starts a new over to Latham, and this is nudged just wide of third slip. I'm not sure if it would have carried to him, but it's going down towards the boundary, and it's going to reach the boundary. 4 runs to third man.
2 + 2 is on man. 2 + 2 is on man.
That's very well played from Tom Latham, because that ball bounced from back of a length, and he rode the bounce very well. Made sure he got on top of it and guided it past the dive of, I think that was Root Crawley, at third slip.
It did bounce well in front of where another slip fielder would have been, so it wouldn't have been a chance even had there been a fielder in the regulation position at fourth slip. There's Latham up to 15 now, and that's something there for Broad to work with, as he's in again, wider of the crease, and this is driven sweetly into the offside, but not timed as well as perhaps I thought he did, and it goes to extra cover, no run.
This isn't one of those English pitches that you sometimes get where you can just basically just put the ball on a spot and it'll do all the work for you. We've already seen Broad bowl the cutter, we've seen him bowl the wobble seam delivery. They're going to have to work a little bit harder than we maybe are used to English bowlers having to work in the first test match of the summer.
The mantra at Lords was always to look up, not down. In other words, pay less attention to what the wicket looks like and more about the weather conditions. And the weather conditions are historically, when it's sunny, it's very good for batting, as Broad bowls on leg stump and it's turned to that short mid-wicket for no run. We're going to have a change after this over. Fourthie, you're staying on, but moving to the summarising chair. You've got your chair sorted. Nestler is coming back in to do some social media work, and for the first time for ages, it's going to be the Bear doing some ball-by-ball commentary. Lock up your daughters.
Yeah, first time
45 for no wicket, halfway through the 13th over.
First time in well over a month for Bear since the last time we did a midweek IPL game.
And apparently they were all lousy when the Bear was on, so he was complaining and has complained similarly for years. As Broad bowls to Latham now, and throws his hands in the air, even though it was a foolish ball on off stump, and Latham defended it. And was slightly inside edgy, but an overreaction from Broad. He's not averse to that.
Well, I think Forthy mentioned a little while ago, when was Broad going to appeal before the ball was delivered? Oh, sorry, and in there, I think. And that was kind of, the appeal was about to happen, and then he realised Latham middled it to short mid-wicket, who is now quite short, quite close to the bat. I mean, he's sort of 10 or 12 yards or so, and a little bit squarer, so a slight adjustment to that field.
He's not James Taylor short.
No.
He's short nonetheless.
It's Dan Lawrence in there, maybe for the one that Latham clips off his pads in the air.
The flasks are coming out in the stands. A bit of grog early doors. This is on the leg side, and it's turned very fine by Latham. Is that a good bit of fielding down there? It is a terrific piece of fielding by Robinson at fine leg. Saves a couple of runs, but they do come back for 2.
I've just changed chairs. There we are.
You're a ball over.
Yeah, I think that goes to your point, Fred, of Broad maybe searching for movement that wasn't there. The temptation can be to search for the magic ball, the one that pitches on middle or is going towards middle and then moves away very late. And he has that ball in his locker. Fabulous bowler, Stuart Broad, particularly in the last few years, but it doesn't always happen.
It doesn't, and as I say, if you look up, you will see this is a batting day as Broad bowls outside the off stump, left through to Bracey at the end of the over, the end of my spell. Well, I'm going to hand over to the Bear.
Eventually, he's have to replace me in the seats. New Zealand 47 for no loss at Drinks, and with Devon Conway on debut, 25 not out off 32, and Tom Latham 17 not out off 46. I think New Zealand can be very happy with their morning's work. A few words from Forthy and Nestlers, and then the Bear will replace me in the chair.
Yes, well, hello, Bear.
Oh, Forthy, have we met before? Virtually?
Not necessarily. I don't think we have. I've only had one day in the hot seat, the last day of the Indian series, and I don't think you were on there. So very nice to meet you.
And you, sir, and you. I don't know where you got up to on tweets, but Jay Grover says, "Hooray, the Bear!"
Hello. Well, look, I'll tell you what. I joined Twitter yesterday. I hope it didn't show.
Don't worry, mate. I can't see any abuse of you yet.
I think you're doing very fine. We've never met before, I don't think, Forthy. Or we were supposed to be on.
No, I don't think
an IPL game, and then the IPL was cancelled or something.
I've got a question for you, Ian.
Yes.
Did you find your phone?
Yes. Now then,
we could hear it all.
I know. I'm sorry about that. That was my son Alex, my technical support, who was, but we forgot to mute.
It was.
Well, you were muted for a while, and then you just appeared, yapping away. Thoughts so far on the first hour?
Good toss to win.
Very good toss to win, wasn't it? Really. I mean. As Fred said, you look up, see the sun today, you don't want to do anything but bat, do you? You just want to sit on the balcony, let your batsmen go out there, get the opposition bowlers tired. And they've had a good first hour, I think, New Zealand.
I've just come in from the garden, and I can attest to the fact that it's gorgeous out there.
Oh, it's lovely. It makes such a change considering May was just absolutely bloody hideous as well, and then suddenly it's just flipped, just like that. It's lovely.
Yeah. Lovely day in Melbourne today, actually.
Are you locked in?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a 2-week lockdown right now.
Oh, really? How many cases on it? 2?
I think we had 3 today, and that's enough.
Wow. You're very good with that, but it must be quite frustrating, though, isn't it? When it's, I guess here you've got thousands running around the whole time, and we're still kind of open.
Well, what I have noticed is that compliance with mask wearing has deteriorated considerably since the first lockdowns last year.
Well, I'd see that's one thing I think here that's actually pretty good. You still see people wandering around with masks. I don't wear one outside, but whenever I go in a shop, I remember to wear one now, which I didn't do towards the beginning of it. It's probably quite a good thing to do. But hey,
are we off again?
No, we're not. We are. Yes, we are now. Sorry, there must have been a drinks break, I presume.
Yep.
It has been an hour. Ollie Robinson is going to continue. He's around the wicket to Conway, I think, and he just defends that out to the covers, and there is no run. Now, I haven't seen Devon Conway, and I've heard a lot about Ollie Robinson and not actually seen any of him. So I'm quite excited to see him. He looks like he's a good prospect.
Conway looks the bee's knees on this morning's session.
Yeah, well, he's our South African brethren are always chatting away on their WhatsApp group when he's playing for New Zealand.
But David Mishley says, following from Johannesburg, home of Devon Conway.
Well, exactly. Ollie Robinson is around the wicket. He's a big, tall lad, isn't he? And it holds its line outside off stump. And Conway just leaves it through to Bracey. And there is no run. Haven't seen Bracey before. Don't know much about him. He wouldn't have been in my original squad. I guess I'd have had Folks. But of course, he slipped in the dressing room did his hamstring. I mean,
Yes.
what is this? I mean, Crawley did it in bloody India, and now someone does it 2 months later. Are they all wearing
Didn't
spikes?
Derek Pringle have to come home from Australia once because he got up too soon from writing a letter?
I think you're right. Defended back down the track by Ollie Robinson, and there's no run. I mean, it does happen, but I mean, it's a bit freakish to have it happen twice in the space of 3-4 months on 2 tours.
It's already been called Sockgate.
Well, I wonder if it's just that they got concrete floors and they're all running around on bloody, studs, aren't they? And those things slip on those floors. Maybe they should not be allowed to put their shoes on until they get out to the grass.
Wonder if Ben Folkes is going to be one of those cricketers who's perpetually unlucky.
Could well be. Could well be. I mean, a quality keeper. It's just they think they have better options, don't they? Driven beautifully by Conway. Very high, straight arm. Reasonably full ball, but outside off stump, given a little bit of width. And drives it straight down the ground. It's chased down by Anderson. And they'll get back for 3.
That's what he's been doing all morning, just timing it.
Yeah. It's been really well batted by New Zealand. I mean, obviously there's the new ball is going to do something, but the pitch looks reasonably placid, and it's nice conditions to bat in. And so you just got to stay out there, wear through that new ball, and then cash in. Hopefully, last 30 minutes before lunch, they can get up to about 80, 90.
Do you think there's ever been a better 38-year-old fast bowler in the field than Jimmy Anderson?
I don't know. I wouldn't have thought so. There's not that many bowlers get to 38 for a start, and he does keep himself fit. And he is only playing Test cricket now, and it shows.
Just trying to imagine Courtney Walsh going after that ball,
or Kirtley. Yeah,
or Kirtley.
Not happening. Ollie Robinson's over the wicket to Latham, who just knocks that out to the leg side of the mid wicket, and there is a single. It's quite weird commentating. I've forgotten what to do.
And it's tests, it's not IPL.
I know, it's quite nice. It's a sedate pace to get back into it.
You don't have to play the 6 and 4 jingle every 2 seconds.
Every 2 seconds, and constantly playing jingles for change of players, and everyone forgets anyway. And by the end of the game, I almost forgot about playing jingles for players anyway, because people just didn't give you any space, and they can't hear them anyway, and it got a bit pointless. Ollie Robinson's coming in last ball of his 3rd over. He's gone for 15 off 3 so far, and that's too wide of the off stump. Conway just leaves it through the Bracey, and there's no run. Anyone know anything about Bracey apart from he has an average somewhere in the 40s or something this year?
That's about all I've heard.
I mean, his first class average was 34, which is why I had Dan Lawrence slightly above him. His first class average was 35, and that was on Cricinfo.
So, Josie Oak says, afternoon, New Zealand look like they will bat all day. We're doomed.
We're not doomed. This weather is here for it's here for this whole test. It's going to be could be a long test.
It's a test. Oxymonica says, looking forward to Root and Lawrence bowling in tandem after lunch. Jay Grove says, oh fuck, 4th and Sean, none of my tweets will ever get read. Also, 4th looks like a serial killer. Some say son, others say apprentice. There you go. I knew the abuse would come if I asked for it.
How do you know Grubby?
Oh dear.
4th, how do you know Grubby? What's your history with Grubby?
Oh, Grubby. We used to work in the same advertising agency in the 1990s for quite some time.
So he'd have been in his 20s, so you must have some dirt on him, yes? As Broad is around the wicket into the pads of Latham. That's a beautiful shot, just clips it sweetly square.
He did have a shock of blonde hair briefly in 1998, I remember.
Oh, Jesus. Well, let's play a jingle for the 4.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
It was a wobble seam delivery from Broad around the wicket, but he got the line all wrong. It's into the pads, and Latham just helped it with sweet timing. Square.
The only thing I've got to add on Bracey, by the way, is he's Gloucestershire's first Test player since Jonathan Lewis in 2006.
Wow.
Whoa. Good statting.
That's his.
Thank you very much.
Well, I hope he does well. I mean, it's quite an odd-looking England side, really, with so many people missing.
And yet only 2 real absolute nailed-on first choices, you'd say, in Stokes and Archer. Everybody else is more...
I don't know. In a home test, I'd have Wokes in my bowling lineup. Beautiful delivery outside the off stump from Broad. false drive from Latham, goes through with it. Nice stance at the end, but he got nowhere near it. Could have quite easily edged through to the keeper.
It was a great shot.
It was a great fresh air shot. Good practice. Held the pose at the end as well.
Yeah, one for the photographers. Jay Grover says, just thought I'd put an insult into fourth in case he felt left out. And Bear, once again, when you lose weight and look healthy, I get fatter and more like a bloated corpse. This codependency must end.
Well, I'm not going back to being fat, so you better do something your end, is all I can say, Jay. Yeah, I've been trying to keep fit. Played up to mid-on by Latham, and there is no run. I'll even admit to those people who think I'm an alcoholic that I haven't actually really drunk that much since January.
I haven't had a drink since March 2020.
That's too long. The sun has come out, so I've slipped a little bit recently, obviously. As soon as the sun comes out, cold beer is lovely.
Well, it's 12 minutes past 9 in Melbourne. If you think there's not a glass of red wine near at hand.
Well, there should be. I mean, I'll probably lunchtime toddle down and get a couple of beers and have some later in the afternoon. As that's defended out into the offside by Tom Latham to cover.
I believe John Arlott knocked off at lunchtime, didn't he, towards the end of his commentating career, because he had 2 bottles of red every lunchtime.
Yeah, I think by the end he was a bit of a soak, but it probably helped him. It's helped me in the past, I can say. It's also probably there are games that I can't really remember, particularly Ashes matches, funnily enough, where it all gets a bit too much by the early hours of the morning on a Christmas. That's just defended back down the track by Tom Latham and Broad.
Actually, I had a friend who was on an advertising shoot with Adam Gilchrist, and he thought it'd be on safe ground to say, "Oh, what an absolutely marvellous man Richie Benno is! What an absolute legend." And Gilchrist said, "Yes, except he kept falling asleep all the time. We had to keep waking him up."
Well, that happens when you get old. I fall asleep on a sofa all the time.
Yes. So do I.
It's quite pleasant, I have to say.
I can't do it. It just doesn't happen for me yet.
Well, you're lucky. You're older than me.
Oh, it will.
Aren't you? Down the leg side, and Latham just helps it on its way down a long leg. It's fielded. They'll get an easy single. It's a leg bar, in fact.
I've got Brace's average here over the last 18 months, which is very respectable, 45.6.
Yes.
49 this year.
Exactly. It's been going up. So he probably had a hard couple of years to start with, and then he's found his legs. So, well, that's good. And I hope he does well. I don't know much about his keeping. I don't know much about him, really. That's the thing.
He's got a surname that's like his nickname. Jersey Oak says, not many members in as the pandemic seen all of those geriatrics off. Limited numbers today, Jersey. It's so many thousand only allowed in.
I think it's 8,000 they're allowing in.
The abuse continues for Fourthy from Jay. Another fucking ad man. This show hasn't reached such a low since Bill Cash were on.
I'm not an ad man. What are you on about? By the way, we should inform you the GPL is continuing. It was 39 in the pot today at the start. Looks like we've had a few entries, and I can tell you what the numbers are.
You've missed a ball there, Bear.
Have I? What happened?
Nothing. Well, they got one run.
Okay. Sorry about that, people. I was looking at GPL.
Robinson bowled. It was just pushed back down the ground, and they took an easy single.
There you go. Nestlers. Quality. 257 for James Humberstone, 264 for Oscar Mack, 268 for John Thompson, 275 for James Humberstone, 278 for John Thompson, 287 Ombre Nuevo, 291 John Thompson, and 308 Oscar Mack. So 257 to 308. Interesting. Ollie Robinson, second ball of the over, driven quite sweetly by Conway, but only as far as extra cover, and there is no run.
Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, when I was growing up, I was made to understand that the absolute par score on day one of a test match was 240 for 4. A perfectly balanced first day. I think that's probably gone up a bit.
By the way, Ian, if you're on here, you haven't grown up yet.
Yeah, we're all children.
If you've
here.
joined us,
That's true. That is very true. I am regressing rapidly.
Robinson into the ribs of Conway. Looks a little bit uncomfortable, but plays it down into the ground. Just goes square on the leg side, and there's no run.
talking about old bowlers, Tony Martinez says Hadley was handy in the field at 40, especially at gully. And
yeah,
Colin,
no, fair point.
Colin wants to know if we discussed yet another Archer injury.
Well, I worry.
Could it be long term?
Well, it must be something long term. I mean, he's going to need. Isn't he going to need surgery? I mean, it feels that way.
Has he not had surgery already?
Well, I think he has finally gone into surgery. But they do say, as that's played into the leg side, just wide of Broad at mid-on, they'll scoot through for a quick single. I mean, they do say it's not to do with a fracture in his elbow that he had, the hairline fracture that he had that originally brought him home from South Africa when that tour we won. What was that? January 2020 when we came home, just before the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's been flaring up. So there's something there. And if he needs surgery, I'd get it out of the way. Just, get him fit and firing. Do the thing. No one likes to go under the knife, I guess, because you fear you might actually end your career. Ooh, that goes across Latham. Bit of an ugly skewed bat at it. And
is it his elbow that's deemed to be the problem?
Yeah, it's his elbow that's deemed to be the problem. Originally, he had a hairline fracture, presumably created by his action, that brought him home from the end of the South Africa tour after the Ashes summer, and he'd been fine. But one presumes actually, because maybe that it had been niggling him for a while, and then he was all right for a little while. Then he had time off, played a bit of IPL. Came back at the beginning of summer, and then it's just been on and off since then, really. Robinson in. Oh, he's bowled him. He's got an inside edge. Finally, England get a wicket. Ollie Robinson gets his maiden Test wicket as well. Well done, sir. It was a decent line on the off stump. Latham's in a little bit of trouble for him. He seems to jab his bat, and it's skewed. It's not coming down straight. Like he doesn't know if it's going away or coming back. When he's got an inside edge onto that one, it's squirted down onto his pad and knocked over his stump. So England get their first wicket. Ollie Robinson gets his maiden Test wicket, and I couldn't see what the score was. It's about 57 for 1.
Just came back a touch, didn't it?
Look back. Just by the time that I do, you'll be gone.
The big gap there, though, wasn't there? He won't like the look of that when he reviews that.
Yeah, well, that's it. But the ball before, he'd done the same thing. It's like he's been playing pretty beautifully straight, but the last couple of balls, it's like his bat was at a kind of 30-degree angle, like he didn't know which way it was going to go. He looked a bit troubled suddenly. And as you say, it came just nibbled back a bit, caught the inside edge, and got dragged onto his stumps. Great delivery.
Dr. Hugh Sheridan's got an anecdote about John Arler and his predilection for wine, is that he always had a spare corkscrew in his baskets, because if one breaks, you're stuffed.
No, then you do the push down tactic, don't you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
You can always
don't really have corkscrews so much anymore, do we?
No.
Less with
screw tops are much better.
They are.
Taipang Sham says Hong Kong is present and incorrect. Lovely day as foretold by Messi Jez.
So it's Captain Fantastic. This could be trouble. It's this man.
A Kiwi told me long ago, there's no one better than Marty Crow. I know it's really great, but tell me, I wanna know, have you ever seen Kane laying strokes every which way?
Lovely new jingle for Kane Williamson, and he deserves it too. He is a quality bat. I do like Kane Williamson. I like New Zealand as a team, but I do want to beat them because that's an interest.
I always think if there's one team I don't mind losing to be honest, it's New Zealand.
I hate losing any time, really, but there are. I think when you lose a game of cricket, you have to accept that you didn't play very well and exhort the opposition. Anyway, Conway is going to face up. to Wood, who's come into the attack. We should get a jingle for him. I don't know why he was appealing for it. Came off the inside edge of the bat and went out towards mid-wicket. And they'll probably get back for 2. So, a couple of jingles in quick succession. It is going to be this man.
Do you know Mark Wood?
Yes, he is an England bowler, quite good and pretty quick.
So just a normal guy.
Of course, except for just one thing.
What?
He thinks that he's a horse.
Right. What?
I was reading the other day as well. Ollie Robinson was a spinner, and then he suddenly it's just something he become in the last few years of decent seam bowler. It's weird, isn't it? Left alone outside Conway's off stump through to keep, and there's no run. Go.
So the same thing happened to Jameson, the tall New Zealand bowler we've got. He was a spinner and an opening batsman, I believe, and I think the other Hadley, the Hadley brother, said, "You're going to turn you into a fast bowler, mate," and he succeeded.
Well, with that frame, you don't want to be wasting 6'8" being a spinner. You know.
No.
Being a spinner is a short person's game, really.
I always think, going back to Archer, here we go.
In comes Woody, and it's defended by Conway from the crease, square on the offside, and there is no run. 60 for 1 New Zealand.
I just sort of feel that for a fast bowler, an elbow feels more recoverable, and if it's a knee or a back, whereas for a spinner, I always feel that an elbow is less recoverable.
Yes, I think you could be right. I mean, there's this worry that he hyperextends his arm when it comes through and it goes beyond the whatever, and that's what's causing it, compressing it. But yeah, you'd hope so, and you'd hope that once they get it right, it'll be right and it'll stay right. You know, if there's a problem, you fix the problem. I hope it remains fixed. Played off the hip by Conway, square, deep square leg, and they'll stroll through for an easy single, bring Kane on strike.
Naomi Osaka says, not her, she hasn't tweeted him, but somebody with that Twitter handle. Could Archer be like Dale Steyn, not always well managed and overplayed? With a long hiatus, maybe doing well to get fully healed?
Well, of course, this is where we talk about the Ashes. I fucking want him for the Ashes. I don't care if he doesn't play any other cricket for the entire fucking year, but we need someone extraordinarily paced and fit and raring to go when we get to Australia. And I think with him and Ollie Stone, and Woody as well, I think we've probably got enough quicks to actually get us through the Ashes. I think we overstack the bowling resources when we go out to Australia. So we at least got.
How come Australia managed to win the Ashes comfortably at home, fielding fast mediums, McGrath, and you could certainly Hazelwood, and even Cummins is not really express.
Not express, but I think it's that extra 3 or 4 miles an hour that they do have really counts over there, or certainly has recently anyway. I mean, the pitches were dreadful last time. Woody is in, bowls very quick, but straight. Full of length outside the off stump of Kane Williamson. He just defends it through a vacant cover, and he'll get himself a single to get himself off the mark first ball.
Jay Grover says, I've utter respect for Archer because he fucked himself up cleaning the fish tank in the bath.
Yeah.
As a man who severed the tip of his pinky off cutting open a muffin, I salute that muppet injury.
Yeah, that was one of his injuries, but that's not the troubling one, really. That was a hand injury, wasn't it? He cut himself on some glass. Big deal.
Being a fish tank in a bath.
Yes. Well, we've all done stupid fucking things. I cut my finger open doing the washing out the other day and sliced it on the fucking carving knife,
Yeah, I'll tell you about my injury the other day in a second.
Oh, now he's hit Conway. He doesn't look comfortable at this pace, possibly. No. He just ducked into that, took his eyes off it. It's hit him on the shoulder. He just walks away. And that's the end of Wood's first over. Went for 4 runs. 62 for 1, New Zealand. Williams is 1 not out, having faced 1 ball. Conway's 32 not out, having faced 45.
So when you do the glass recycling here, you have to remove all the lids and everything off the glass. And I cut myself getting the lid off a empty bottle of vinegar. They're
glass
almost
crack
sealed on.
Oh right, so when you took it off, the bit of glass came off, and you.
And the reason I emptied the bottle of vinegar in the first place is because I was cleaning an old bike chain. Because if you leave it soaking overnight, all the rust comes off. There's a little tip for you.
What, in vinegar?
If you want to get rid of rust on things, just leave it in vinegar.
There you go. Well, it's
It's acidic.
It could be a little spin-off series where people write in asking for some DIY tips.
Nestle's tips.
I'm telling you, there's fucking thousands of those already on YouTube. You want to find out how to do anything? YouTube it.
That's what I did.
Exactly. There you go. So someone's already doing that. Robinson is going to continue. 5th over. He's in to takes that away from Williamson. Good length outside off stump. Maybe a little bit wide. Williamson could leave it easy. And there is no run.
But Bear, they're not doing it live on cricket commentary.
No, they're not. True.
That's the difference.
That's why
shape.
How to clean your chain between overs. Hand over to you, Nestle.
A little bit of shape on that last ball, I thought.
Yeah, it was good, but it started a little bit too wide. Went away as well after it hit the deck. But I think it'll be quite. I don't know how many lefties he bowls at. I guess there are certainly a lot more about these days. Oh, well, that's a really good ball. Coming into Kane Williamson, quite wide of the crease, held its line a little. He played at it, beat his outside edge through to Bracey, just over the top of the off stump, wasn't it? Near enough.
Yeah, I think it was very close.
A really good delivery.
Yes.
How tall is he as well? He's bloody tall, isn't he? I mean, he's taller than Broad.
He's 6'8".
What? Ollie Robinson?
Well, Jameson's 6'8". I think this guy's 6'8" too.
Oh, cool. So we got someone to match up to their 6'8". That's good. I like that.
Just check that.
Robinson is in, and that's another decent delivery outside off stump. A little bit wide again. Kane knows where his off stump is, and he lets that through to keeper, and there's no run.
Williamson's actually sitting on 300s in his last 4 matches, 2 of them doubles.
Yeah, I watched a couple of them. Who was that against? Was it against Pakistan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, because that seemed to be on and towards the end of sort of lockdown in February or something, and it always used to come on at about 11 o'clock, and the kids would go to bed, and suddenly they'd be, oh look, and everyone was talking about it on a WhatsApp group. He looked imperious. He looked absolutely imperious in those innings. Never looked like he was going to get out. Ollie Robinson is in. That one comes back. That's a good delivery. This is a good little battle here. Williamson's just come in. He exaggerates his leave, and it cuts back. Starts going down leg, really, where Bracey dives across the field it.
It's a good over, but at 6'8" or whatever he is, to pitch it, you'd have to pitch it an awful long way up to get a bolder LBW.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, but England lends itself to the edges as well, doesn't it? And the exaggerated movement. You got a little slope at Lord's. Anyway, Robinson is in. That's a fuller length and defended by Kane Williamson back down the track, and there's no run.
Joshua McNally's joined us from Adelaide. He said he loves our work.
Thanks, man.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. And Jonathan Meader says, can it get any better? Guerrilla cricket on the commentary on opening day at Lord's. Not really.
I think it probably can, but okay.
No, it can't, Forthy. It can't.
Oh, my apologies.
Nice drone shot of Lords on the telly. What are they doing? Putting down something.
Putting down a blind. Graham Warren's joining the...
beat it again on the outside edge. Doesn't get far enough across Kane Williamson. Prods at it rather with his bat.
That's over of the summer so far.
That is indeed. That was a cracking over. And he has bowled 5 overs, number 17. 1 for 17, sorry.
Yeah, Graham Warren's enjoying the alternative commentary from Wellington, New Zealand. No radio coverage as the BBC extras geo-blocked us, so you guys are a godsend.
Really?
Well, Graham, we're glad to be a godsend.
Where was he, sorry?
Wellington, New Zealand.
What, they geo-blocked their own commentary?
Well, no, BBC.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Of course they are, the BBC. It's something to do with the rights with the BBC, because they're the BBC and the licence. It means that they're very limited on what they can put out overseas.
Gregory Beasley says hi from Porthcawl.
Nice. Woody is in and driven nicely by Conway. Didn't really move his feet. Almost a sort of one-day shot. Just drove through the line of the ball. And it's
should we be moving out?
What do you mean?
After this over? Yeah, we should.
Oh,
be.
right.
After this over, right over.
Okay, after this over.
2, 3, 4.
That half an hour's gone really quick.
They do.
I wasn't even looking at the time. Who's in next? Knackle, isn't he?
It's Knackle, Fred, and Endo.
Okie dokie. We shall just do this over then. Conway is going to face up. Woody is gone for 8 in 1.1 overs. Next ball is on his pad, and that's clipped sweetly, but straight to deep square leg. It'll be a single. My one thing about Woody, and this is why on my team I had Ollie Stone ahead of Woody. I've seen a lot of Woody, and I really like Woody, and I love his jingle and everything. But I do think he doesn't do enough with the ball, and he relies too much on his pace. And I think at the top level, decent batsmen quite like that pace.
Yes, I agree with that. I think Stone does a bit more on it.
Yeah,
a similar spin.
Exactly, and that's why I'd have gone with Ollie Stone. But they've gone with Woody. So let's see. I mean, he's got a couple of fivers and tests. I feel harsh when I say that, but I just think that's what I feel when I watch him in a test match. He's in, and it's defended by Kane Williamson, goes out to gully it, and there's no run.
He hasn't fallen over yet.
No, not yet. He'd be a good man in the rooms, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, that's what I mean. I like Woody. I don't want to say evil things against him, but I just think that maybe he's not quite. You know, if he did what Simon Jones did, for example, then he'd be a stick on. But he doesn't seem to do that. I mean, he does get reverse swing when it does reverse swing.
I don't think, unfortunately, there's too many tests left in Woody. He's 31 now.
Yeah, he breaks down a lot as well. That's not surprising looking at his action. Oh, now that jumps a little bit on Kane Williamson. He gets turned a bit. Comes off near the handle, back down the track.
He'll always have a World Cup winners medal.
Yeah, he will do indeed.
We're getting a lot of love on YouTube.
Ah, thanks, YouTube.
Tony Martinez loves us. Mark Brett love listening from Australia. Amit Sakar from Dhaka, capital of Bangladesh.
Nice, thank you, people. Welcome to you all.
Indeed. Household cleaning tips, says Tony Martinez. Nice work, lads.
Yeah. Have to clean your bike chain. I'm sure we can find some more. Just.
Are you sure that's what it says?
Yeah.
You haven't made that one up.
Full. You see, that's it. Full, really quick, but it's a nice width, and it's a nice line to just drive. And it's Kane Williamson. He does exactly that. Drives it sweetly through the covers, all the way down to the boundary, and it's going to be 4 runs. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the ball never seems to deviate, it never goes off the seam. And not a lot of times any swing either.
Agreed.
Well, he hasn't fallen over yet.
No, he hasn't fallen over yet. That's true. My last ball, then Knackle will be coming in with Fred and Anindo. And Williamson is 5 not out, having faced 10 deliveries. 71 for 1 New Zealand. That one is more into the pads, and he just dropped it out on the leg side. Broad has to come up from mid-on, and they get through for a single. He moves on to 6, remains on strike, 72 for 1. I'm going to hand over to Knackle, and everyone else is going too. So maybe I should play a little bit of music in between.
We need your alternative cricket commentary, bringing you laughs, bringing you jingles, bringing you joy. We are Gorillas. We need your Patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
Yes, indeedy, we need your money. As ever. We being Gorilla Cricket, you're listening to Gorilla Cricket's coverage of New Zealand's tour of England. New Zealand 72 for 1 partway through the first morning of the first test as Ollie Robinson, who's taken the 1 wicket thus far, bowls to the Kiwi captain Kane Williamson down the leg side. Williamson flicks at it, misses it. James Bracey can't quite take behind the stumps, but gets most of a paw on it. There is no run. Ollie Robinson's been talking in the lead up to the match about how he's going to get Kane Williamson out, set him up with the outswingers, move him across his crease, then get him nipping back LBW. Easy game, Fred.
Yeah, games are always easy when you're planning them. When you get out there, it's slightly different.
But if you're announcing it, he's probably going to do something completely different.
It's a little wider in the crease. Does
If he
go
has
outside.
any sense.
Does go outside off stump, and Kane Williamson plays with soft hands. Thought about leaving it, but then decided to defend it to point, and there is no run. They played together a little bit at Yorkshire.
Sorry, Anido. Andrew Sampson tweeted earlier that Ollie Robinson started his England career with a no ball, and he found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 others who have done the same, where ball-by-ball data is available, and they are, this is for England, Percy Fender, Mike Hendrick, Neil Williams, Jimmy Anderson, John Lewis, Amjad Khan, and Dominic Sibley.
Ah.
Well, it's not a bad list.
Apart from Dominic Sibley. Slips away as
exactly.
Robinson comes in. Williamson leaves alone through to the keeper. There is no run. Ollie Robinson has been doing pretty much what he's been doing for Sussex for the last few years, hitting the perfect length, making sure getting the ball to hit the splice of the bat, moving the ball both ways. An impressive start to his first Test match for Ollie Robinson.
Yeah, indeed. For both the debutants out there, actually, Conway's been excellent.
Conway 37 not out.
Ollie Robinson.
Conway 37 not out of 47 balls at the other end to his captain Kane Williamson, who leaves through to the keeper. There is no run, a little bit of wobble, but all after it past the stumps. Just Ollie Robinson getting slightly tighter to off stump. Maybe give him this over and then one more to see if he can work his magic on his former Yorkshire teammate Kane Williamson. Robinson was at Yorkshire, started his career there before being sacked for quote-unquote unprofessional behaviour, but has resurrected his career at Sussex.
So is Kane Williamson, in fact, who had such a miserable spell at Yorkshire. I think he barely got to double figures, didn't he?
Well, that was his. I think that might have been his 4th spell at Yorkshire. He's played there. He's played parts of 4 different seasons for them. Williamson defends very late, as he always does, and it squirts off the middle of the bat, which is a shot that only Kane Williamson can play on the bounce to third slip, and there is no run. It's incredibly
I've always
late.
thought it was very difficult for overseas players to come in for these very short spells and make an impact. I mean, it's just so incredibly difficult, right?
Well, it's difficult for them, and it's pointless for the county most of the time. I mean, it's an absolute waste of resources that English cricket can really do without blowing that cash on 2 games of an overseas start.
Williamson has done more than that. He's played 36 county championship games in total. Wider of the crease goes Robinson, angling the ball into the stumps of Kane Williamson, who blocks back to the bowler.
But he's never played a whole season, has he?
No, the most he's played in the season is 8 games, I think. So he's played sort of full half. He played sort of, I think when New Zealand, the last 2 times New Zealand has toured, he's played the rest of the season. After that, he's 4 stints for Gloucestershire, 2 for Yorkshire. He averages 42 in the county championship.
Some people have joined us on YouTube. Mark Pretlove is listening from Australia. Hi from Amit Sarkar in Dhaka, capital of Bangladesh. Steve Kelk says, hello gents, nice to hear you again after the suspension of the IPL coverage. Colin says, commentators giving cleaning tips. Have you been listening to my wife? Paul S has joined from sunny Taipei. Fantastic stuff, he says, and I'm quite sure the helpful hints will come in useful at some point. Looking forward to listening for the next 5 days. Well, I think we hope it goes 5 days. Test matches in England have tended not to quite go that long in recent years, but here's hoping. The weather's good.
No.
I hope so too, because I'm supposed to be back on day 5.
Yeah, as am I. Bowling friendly conditions and good attacks. English Test cricket has been played in fast forward over the last few years. Speaking of fast forward, here is Mark Wood hurling himself at Devon Conway, who drives this very pleasantly on the up, really, not a half volley at all. Straight to Dan Lawrence at cover. There is no run. Wood is bowling much as the Bear was saying, fast and on line, but there's not a lot of movement. There's no variable bounce. He's not getting the ball to hit the splice of the bat. I've seen him hit Devon Conway once in this spell, but sometimes you need just a little bit more than just pace. But let's see.
Well, it's funny how you have the really fast bowlers doing well on lifeless, unhelpful tracks like he was in India, for example.
2 slips and a gully as he's into Conway, who again meets it very firmly off the front foot. Defensively played this time to cover, and there is no run. Well, I suppose Ollie Stone did very well in India this time around. Archer's done very well in the
Mark Wood as well. I mean, Mark Wood was quite amazing until he got found out.
Well, that was in the white ball stuff. Yes, he's an excellent white ball bowler. Mark Wood has been for a number of years. Different needs, but yeah, I think when the pitch isn't doing all that much, the fact that you can get the ball through the air quicker and off the pitch quicker becomes more valuable to you. It's a little bit different when there is some assistance. Wood continuing round the wicket. Short ball to Conway, who flinches at it and again is hit somewhere on the side of the body. Loops up through where short leg would have been. Just getting a little bit cramped when Wood is bowling into his sort of armpit and hip region. Not easy. Wonder if wonder if you might put in a short leg.
Look, from the beginning of the innings when Conway came in, anything which is on that line, he hasn't really been playing it well. He loves, like all left-handers, he loves the off stump side. It's just so elegant there.
And indeed, Ollie Pope is going under the lid at short legs. The second time that Conway has been hit by Mark Wood. Yeah, he has a slightly sort of closed off stance, does Devon Conway, and he can get himself into a little bit of trouble in that blind spot that you sometimes get with the ball.
And he leaves a gap as well between bat and pad, which is quite big.
Interesting to see what Wood does with this next ball. Ollie Pope is in there at short leg, a little bit deeper than normal. As in he comes, Mark Wood does go shorter, and Conway has a little flail at it outside off stump, and then just withdraws the bat beyond the last minute because the ball was past him by the time he decided to do that. Slightly discomfited Devon Conway by Mark Wood banging the ball in short. Interesting battle developing between Wood and Conway at one end, and Robinson and Williamson at the other. That was not particularly well left.
Yeah, that surprised Conway, who's, I wouldn't say he's been looking totally comfortable, but he's been playing well. He's been looking as if he's deserves to be there at the highest level, and then all of a sudden one zips past his nose and it surprised him.
Shorter delivery, tighter to off stump, played late and jabbily, but more or less off the middle of the bat to backward point, and there is no run. Just a little bit of a break on the scoring in the last few overs. 2 consecutive maidens for Ollie Robinson, and before that an over of 2 runs plus the wicket, and this one's shaping up to be a maiden thus far. An interesting battle developing between these two teams.
Conway's a bit uncomfortable against anything pitch short. At least that's what it seems like so far.
And sometimes the fact that the pitch is not all that quick can make playing short bowling harder in a way. As Wood comes in, last ball of what's been a very good over. This is short, and that's pulled very authoritatively by Devon Conway. Ollie Pope sees his life flash before his eyes at short leg, and Zach Crawley collapses on top of the ball, but the ball squirms through him, and Devon Conway is slightly gifted the boundary, but that was a nicely played pull stroke to end the over. He moves to 41 on Test debut, New Zealand 76 for 1.
A bit behind on tweets, Jay Grover talking about the height of Robinson says he's 6'5". He says if me and the bear stood on each other's shoulders, it's quite difficult to do, we could look him eye to eye. Ian Barker says morning from the Kansas City, Missouri, as opposed to the one in Kansas. The lovely Tess says hi, thank you for the entertainment. Des talking about Robinson says, why is it taking so long to pick him? He's 27, first class average of 21. He's Josh Hazelwood. Well, perhaps. There's been a lot of people to choose from, to be fair.
Yeah, we said this.
John Perry says, working late in Tokyo. It doesn't seem half so bad with you chaps for company. Also, just finished Aninda's excellent Wizards of Spin. Enjoyable and informative. Thank you very much. Here, we've got a plug-in for you.
Nice for you. Thank you very much.
Gabby playing for Prime Minister says, good evening from a cold Australian winter's night. How have you been, my gorilla friends? I think we're all pretty good, actually. Thank you for asking. Baldev Batrai joins us on YouTube, and he says, enjoying the commentary, keep up the good work. Tony Martini says, looks like Conway has put away the hook and pull shots for now. He said that just before he pulled 1 for 4.
Yeah, it was a good pull shot as well, just past the ear of Ollie Pope at short leg. Change of bowling at the other end. James Anderson replaces Ollie Robinson, bowls outside off stump, dies through to Bracey. There is no run out of the hand of this old master, now England's joint record holder for Test caps.
Tony Martinez recovers slightly by saying, putting the man in close, Conway taking it on now, good competition. And Colin says, short balls, the Achilles of batters with premeditative front foot movement. Well, it does make you think if your initial movement is forward and one whistles past your nose.
Yeah, although a lot of players do play the pull shot off the slight forward press. This one threatens to come into Kane Williamson and then just leaves him at the last minute. Williamson, I'll give him some credit playing inside the line. Ball goes through to the keeper, waist height this time, better carry. There is no run. Yeah, Anderson equaling Alistair Cook's record of Test caps for England will break it if he plays in the next Test match at Edgbaston. Remarkable for a seam bowler, and he's getting better and better and better every passing year. James Anderson. We're not on. Ever since we,
it's quite amazing, right?
Ever since we were first on Anderson retirement watch back in 2014. Lovely shot by Williamson. This ball swings into him and he clips it to the right hand of Ollie Robinson at mid-on, who chases it back towards the long on fence. They'll come back for 3. Good shot from Williamson. Slightly overpitched if you're being hypercritical of Anderson. Conway now on strike, the left-hander.
You know, Jimmy Anderson reminds me of Rafael Nadal, and it was very interesting. Nadal was playing yesterday, and we had a commentator saying, I'll fill you up as well.
No, it's a replay. Go ahead.
No, that's a replay. Okay. So he was saying that we predicted, whenever the guy was in commentary, that we predicted that Nadal would break down because of his knees, and that was 14 years ago.
Well, I mean, he did. Well, he did, but he came back again, Rafa Nadal.
Yeah.
Anderson
he comes out from anything.
Anderson in, round the wicket to Devon Conway. Lovely shot, clipped into the onside. Didn't time it that well, but straight to Dan Lawrence at short mid-wicket, and there is no run. Conway certainly does look assured when the bowling is on a length, as you would expect from a top-order player. Tends to bat number 3 for Wellington, where he's been racking up the runs for the last several years, but has opened, and with Tom Blundell out of runs in the last few years, Conway has a chance to establish himself as a regular Test opener. Anderson into him, tries to drive this down the ground, and just squirts off the inside edge. A little bit of extra movement from Anderson. Conway gratefully takes the thick inside edge down to long leg for 2. Hands got a little bit in front of him there from Devon Conway. Anderson hands to head.
Everybody Wang Chung tonight on Twitter says, for those who want non-Sky commentary, give Guerrilla Cricket a listen. Well, if you're hearing me, you already are giving Guerrilla Cricket a listen, but do tell your friends if you got any.
We've tweeted out to that effect.
And
well, anyone in Singapore should be listening to Guerrilla Cricket, because they're clearly not showing the match.
Anderson in a full delivery. Conway thinks about a drive, but turns it into a defensive shot. It dribbles up to mid-on, and there is no run. 5 runs off the over, the 21st of the match. New Zealand having won the toss and elected to bat at a glorious sun-baked Lords are 81-1.
Gabby Plain for Prime Minister says, as an Aussie, talking about James Anderson, you can't help but have a combination of dislike for his success and respect for the same reason. Incredible career, and somehow still not done yet. Yeah, it is pretty amazing in historical terms to be bowling at that high level at his age. We are 12 minutes away from lunch, which means you have only 12 minutes to get your entries in for the GPL, which is our Prediction League competition. If you go to our website, guerillacricket.com, and click on competitions, you need to guess the number of runs that will be scored in the entire day today. And if you get it bang on, you will win what is in the pot, or share it if 2 people get it bang on. It costs £1 per guess per entry. How much is in the pot, Nagel?
Pot started at £39, and we've had 9 entries today, so you could bring yourself 40 quid.
Moving on up, because the pot gets bigger with every entry.
In steams, Mark Wood from the nursery end goes wide of the crease. A drive from Kane Williamson squirts off the outside edge through the gap where a wideish gully would have been. Gully's been moved to a backward point, and Kane Williamson picks up a slightly streaky boundary.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Full delivery outside off stump. Williamson didn't throw his hands at it exactly, but a firm push, but no danger particularly. I wonder if he'll go short to the Kiwi captain. Well, Wood, who's never really had that much success in Test cricket in England, has been superb on a few away trips, notably the West Indies and South Africa. And he comes off this longer run that he changed to a couple of years ago, back of a length, having been driven before through the offside, rises past the sternum of Kane Williamson, who leaves through to the keeper Bracey, and there is no run.
Rather a strange tweet from Jay Grover. I'm not sure if anyone else can understand it. He goes, aeroplane, helicopter. Maybe the Sheffield cargo cult will finally pay off. Anyone? Lost me. And Warren asks, short balls, does that mean long todger? He's making an anatomical joke there, which we're quite prepared to do, but not all that often.
In comes Wood, charging in from the rebuilt Compton and Edrich stands, and this rockets through to James Bracey, but well outside off stump through to the keeper, and there is no run. 95 miles an hour from Mark Wood. It's about the same pace he bowled the delivery that hit Devon Conway in his first over, but that was a very friendly delivery, really outside off stump.
I'd be a little bit dubious of that had it not shown Ollie Robinson earlier at 79 miles an hour. It's unlikely to be an excitable speed gun for just one bowler.
Well, this is the speed Mark Wood averages pretty much every spell in all formats of international cricket. Mark Wood doesn't bowl that many slower balls, I think, which sort of aids the average speed, as it were. You see Jofra Archer's average speed, and it's a bit misleading sometimes because he bowls a lot of slower balls and knuckleballs. But Mark Wood is genuinely one of the 5 or 6 fastest bowlers in Test cricket. And he comes 4th ball of the over, wider on the crease. Good delivery, rising again through to James Bracey, who takes it waist height, well left by Williamson over the top of off stump, and there is no run.
Farong says, how many kilometres is that? 95 is how many kilometres?
Oh, 150
it's
plus?
152 thereabouts, 153.
150 is about 92 or 93 miles an hour.
Farong says, honours to the Black Caps at this stage, providing no wickets after this tweet. And nice to hear another follower tweeting in from Dakar. Well, tell your friends, there's about 20 million people plus in Dakar, so there's a lot more potential for people to listen to us.
As density of cricket fans go, I think Bangladesh and Dhaka, I think, serves us quite well. Again, wider on the crease, a fairly poor delivery outside off stump, which Williamson has no hesitation in leaving through to the keeper. There is no run. It's a little bit all over the place in this over. Mark Wood, really. A couple of good deliveries, a couple of really easy leave balls. Coming up to lunchtime at Lord's, 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes, of course, to get your GPL picks in. England don't have a spinner to throw the obligatory 1 over before lunch to, unless Joe Root wants to bring himself on. Going on with a 4.
Well, he didn't do too badly in India.
No, he's as part-time spinners go, he's certainly seen worse. Wood, Robinson, Anderson and Broad making up the attack.
Did he take a 5-wicket haul?
He did, on a very turning pitch,
6
but
or
still. Outside off stump from Wood, left alone by Williamson, through to the keeper. There is no run. I mean, none of the especially... there was the 4 off the first ball, then 5 dot balls, but not especially threatening from Mark Wood. 23 overs gone, New Zealand 85 for 1.
Jay Grover clarifies his earlier tweet. He says, I am a simple man. I get excited when aeroplanes pass over because it's been a while. I hope they might drop chips.
Waiting for
they might.
Are you in some remote location that you're waiting for an airdrop?
Yeah, Sheffield. I don't know. Well, where would the planes be going to? Maybe Leeds Bradford Airport?
There's a Robin Hood Airport. Sheffield. Robin Hood Airport in Doncaster, or East Midlands or somewhere. It sounds like he's
Nottingham, isn't it?
It sounds like he's in sort of post-Marshall Plan Germany, waiting for a food parcel.
Or the Berlin airlift. Do we know, were the general public allowed into this test match, or was it only MCC members?
It is not members, as far as I'm aware. It's not just members. There was a ballot, as far as I'm aware, but obviously limited. 7,500 in, some percentage, like maybe a third of total capacity. As Anderson is in outside off stump, and Conway defends up to mid off, and there is no run. Hard to see. Mark Wood has bowled 4 overs, probably that's his lot in one spell, so maybe Broad will return at the nursery end. So we see.
So before we go into lunch, I have a question for 2 of you.
Okay.
So, who do you think is going to win this 2 Test series?
As Anderson is in full delivery, Conway sort of drives, but doesn't really try and put any power into the stroke. Dribbles to Robinson at mid-off, and there is no run.
I will answer first, if you allow me, Knackle. I have absolutely no idea. I think this is as potentially close and difficult to call Test series as we've had for a while, actually. And I honestly wouldn't. It could be 2-0 to either team. It could be 1-1. It could be it could be anything.
No,
I'm looking forward to it because of that.
I think the one thing I will say is if the weather keeps firm, I think with the quality of attacks on display, I think we will get results in both Test matches.
Yeah, exactly.
Even without Trent Bolt, New Zealand have an excellent attack, and Anderson and Broad and Robinson and Overton's in superb form, and Ollie Stone. There's a shortish mid-off comes in, almost the off Hayden, a little bit wider than that Ollie Pope for the delivery that Devon Conway drives on the up, but he just nudges this into the onside. The tall skeletal figure of Dan Lawrence fields at short mid-wicket, and there is no run.
Actually, for the entire summer, you've got 3 teams who've got a really good pace attack.
And excellent spinners.
I'm not sure how often you have that on an English summer.
Well, we had it. Certainly had it with Australia when Australia were here. LBW appeal as Conway flicks across the line from a delivery from Anderson, hitting just outside the line of off stump. A slightly inside edge as well, so it dribbles out into the covers, so the appeal was stifled. With a good full delivery from James Anderson. Again, that bat gap between bat and pad that has been talked about today with Devon Conway, just maybe done by the ball. Maybe it was going down leg, in fact.
No, it was an inside edge.
Michael Goff, a very
Slightly
good umpire, and
inside,
wasn't particularly interested. So Anderson is in full delivery. Conway pulls out of the attempted expansive drive and just is content to push it to Pope at silly mid-off with short mid-off with just a few minutes to lunch. New Zealand have run in their sort of old-fashioned style. They're slightly playing for lunch, I think, at this stage.
Well, why not?
No, indeed.
The bed and breakfast.
5 minutes to go.
Indeed, yes. I think you're probably looking to bat well into day 2 on this pitch and get a good first innings score. Last ball of the over from Anderson, a little bit leg sidey. Conway flicks into the onside. Lawrence again fields at mid-wicket. There is no run. A maiden from James Anderson. New Zealand 85 for 1 after 24 overs. We should get one more over in before lunch.
Andrew Carroll joins us. He says, "Hi guys, perambulating through Western Victoria for the next 3 nights. Fantastic to listen to honest commentary. If someone is crap, you say so. Auntie B wouldn't allow it. More power to your collective elbows, guys."
I mean, there are
elbows stay in better position than Jofra Archer. Joshua Letchford on YouTube says that Archer is someone who starts spells fast and then runs out of steam. I think that's a little bit harsh.
I'm not sure that's at all accurate.
On the crowd, Colin on YouTube says it looks like a bloody age limit for tickets. Well, members of MCP, because you have to wait for 20 odd years to become a member, because there's a long waiting list, tend to be older than average.
I mean, you do literally have to wait for someone to die, as in many cases. Wood, a poor delivery down the leg side, short and rising, but well down leg. Williamson is not at all troubled through to the keeper. There is no run.
Some news, Lord Lucan has been found, because he's just commented to us on YouTube. He says, "Congratulations to Jay Grover on the success of his mask-wearing rituals to bring back flying machines to his skies." I wouldn't put the rituals past Jay Grover, to be honest.
Well, we're going back a little bit in time now. If we're going from the Berlin airlift to the magnificent men in their flying machines, we're switching world wars. Man back on the hook for Mark Wood. I wonder if there's a long leg as well. There's certainly a deep square leg. So Wood in his 5th over, which doesn't tend to bowl many 5-over spells in Test cricket, being encouraged to bang the ball in short. What he does is hang the ball well outside off stump. There is no run. This has been a curious spell for Mark Wood.
What I was talking about earlier about the quality of pace bowling was about the whole summer, that you've got 3 of the best 4 pace attacks in the world in the English summer all at the same time. That must be quite unusual.
There are outstanding pace attacks all over the world. The West Indies attack that came to England last summer was a very good attack. So was the Pakistan attack, the Australian attack that came in 2019. Very strong attack. South Africa, even with some absentees, have got some very fine bowlers. This is a better delivery from Wood, but again a little bit too wide of off stump, and Williamson, although he thought about playing it, is able to leave comfortably through to the keeper. There is no run.
So I'm not sure if I missed it, Aninder, but did you answer your own question? Who do you think is going to win this 2-test series?
No, I didn't answer. I don't know. I'm just curious, because I'm looking at it from a very selfish point of view. Well, New Zealand, if they win, I'm hoping they're going to be overconfident. If they lose, I'm hoping they're going to be demoralised. So for the World Test Championship.
And a draw doesn't do anything for anybody. That's what you're saying.
No, it does.
Wood in wider on the crease, again failing to make Williamson play, rising through to the keeper, and there is no run. You'd be a little bit disappointed if you were Joe Root and indeed Mark Wood about how many deliveries Williamson in particular has been able to let go through to the keeper in these last few overs.
But I think you're right, Anindo. And I mean, the fact is, New Zealand do have a smidgen of an advantage playing 2 Test matches in England before the final, as opposed to India, who are only playing after the final. Maybe India are using the World Test Championship as a warm-up for their series against England. And look at it that way for a change.
Well, I think Kohli would certainly want to win it because he loves Test cricket.
Wood in
just for bragging rights.
Tighter to off stump. Williamson though leaves through to the keeper. There is no run. I think the ego and glory seeking of professional athletes shouldn't be overestimated, and I think it's a wonderful thing because it has reinvigorated Test cricket to an extent in India, and that World Test Championship is a big deal, and is.
Well, I mean, you work towards it for 2 years, right? I mean, you can argue about the point system, etc., but the reality is you've got 2 teams out there who are supposed to be the best in the world after 2 years, and it should be a big deal.
And it is, and it's been rightly treated as such, and I frankly cannot wait for that final. I think it's going to be a fantastic occasion, a fantastic match between, as you say, 2 very good attacks. Last ball before lunch is finally makes Williamson play. He defends in typical Williamsonian manner to third man, well fielded by the man at backward point. There is no run, a fairly unthreatening maiden to finish, and that is lunch on day 1. New Zealand won the toss on a glorious day at Lords, and will be very happy with their work. They are 85-1 at lunch. The man to fall, Tom Latham, trying to work out whether to play off front foot or back foot to the debutant Ollie Robinson, bowled off the inside edge for 23 off 57. Devon Conway has settled into Test cricket very nicely on his own debut, 43 off 62, and the unflappable captain Kane Williamson is on 13 not out off 32 balls. Robinson taking that 1 wicket to fall, 1 for 17. James Anderson none for 19 off his 7 overs, 1 maiden. Stuart Broad 7 overs, 2 maidens, none for 22, and Mark Wood 5 overs, 1 maiden, none for 22. Hostile but a little bit wayward, but that's what you get when you pick Mark Wood. There have been 6 extras, 5 of them leg byes, and 1 of them a no ball by Ollie Robinson. Some final tweets, and then we'll go to our lunchtime entertainment, which trigger warning New Zealand fans, is the second innings of the World Cup final from 2019.
Just a couple. Jay Grover says the last years have made the mask rituals all the easier. Soon the flying bird will deposit chips. And Ravanelli on YouTube, I'm not sure if that's the Italian striker with the silver hair who played for Middlesbrough. He says, I bought a speculative 5th day ticket for £20, looking good at the moment, fingers crossed. And that's pretty much up to date. Let's go to our lunchtime entertainment.
Yeah, indeed. Join us again in half an hour or so for the second session. New Zealand 85-1. See you in a few minutes.
See you guys
after
on the 5th day.
After some throwback to the last game these two played at Lords. Remember it?
New Zealand and England. New Zealand taking the field. England will have to chase 242 to win the World Cup after 47 and a half matches. It all comes down to the next 2 or 3 hours. Can England get themselves over the line? I'm Gorilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and I'm joined on my right by none other than Paul Howarth, Grubby78.
Hello everyone, this is incredibly exciting.
And on my left, on your tweets, it's Pralab Gupta.
Hi everyone, very much looking forward to this. Every 4 years this happens, and there's going to be some classic final moments in the second innings.
Sometimes every 5 though, earlier in the tournament's lifetime.
87 to 92, yes,
87 to 92,
yeah,
92 to 96, and then 96 to 99. There was anyway, that's a discussion for another day. England's openers are on the way to the crease, and they are these men.
Duckworth Lewis loves you. The clouds part for you. Nothing stands in your way when you're a Roy.
And
Johnny Best is smarter than the average Besto. Johnny Best has been this good since daycare, so all put on your wigs and let the crimson hair flow. I want the Pope to give him his own large prayer. Oh, he can hit the 6s, although it's so dark. He'd even run a 10 at Bradford Park Avenue. No other Yorkshireman can compare. I tell you, Johnny Best is smarter than the average Besto.
And a man who drinks all of his drinks through a straw to be opening the bowling.
How does he speak, or play the horn, or clean his teeth, or even yawn? How does he shout, how does he call? Trent Bolt's mouth is really small.
He's going to be bowling from the pavilion end, hoping to make use of the slope that slopes from grandstand to moundstand to tavern of about 2.5 metres, is it, I think? And he's going to be bowling to Jason Roy. We're going to see whether this pitch is